Li Mei's Sword of Destiny. Chapter 1290. Hey! Qin Feiyang grabbed Zhuge Mingyang's neck and turned to look at the state preceptor. He grinned and said, "Put away your arrogance right now, or I'll take off his head and give it to you as a ball. How dare you?" The state preceptor was furious. "Why don't you try?" Qin Feiyang joked. The state preceptor's face was gloomy, but in the end, he restrained his aura and said in a deep voice, "Let him go." "Are you kidding me? Regardless of victory or defeat, only life or death." He proposed it and you agreed. In other words, even if I kill him now, no one has the right to interfere. But now you're asking me to let him go so arrogantly? What do you want? To bully others with your power? Qin Feiyang looked at the state preceptor playfully and said. The state preceptor's old face was a little embarrassed. If it was someone unrelated, he would definitely turn around and leave to avoid being humiliated. But now it was Zhuge Mingyang who fell into Qin Feiyang's hands. He liked Zhuge Mingyang very much. He even had high hopes for him. Whether the Zhuge family could really rise in the future might depend on Zhuge Mingyang. And in order to cultivate Zhuge Mingyang, he had spent a lot of effort. So, he couldn't ignore it. Qin Feiyang laughed and said, "Do you want to save him? Kneel down and beg me." Everyone was dumbfounded. Did Qin Feiyang eat a leopard's guts? He actually dared to threaten the state preceptor openly? Looking at the state preceptor again. His face was ashen and his hands were tightly clenched together. His palms had already turned white. If looks could kill, Qin Feiyang would have been smashed into pieces. "Don't beg him!" Zhuge Mingyang suddenly roared. The state preceptor's body shook as if he was struck by lightning. He quickly looked at Zhuge Mingyang and saw Zhuge Mingyang's eyes flashing with madness. "What do you want to do?" The state preceptor was surprised. Qin Feiyang also raised his eyebrows slightly. But the next moment, the state preceptor seemed to have thought of something and said angrily, "You want to use that move, right? I won't allow it. I lost to him last time. If I lose to him again, I'm afraid I won't be able to make a comeback in this life. So no matter what price I have to pay today, a tooth for a tooth, blood for blood," Zhuge Mingyang said, his face full of determination. "What's the situation? Isn't his seized qi? How can he still be so?" Everyone was surprised. Qin Feiyang also frowned. Could it be that this Zhuge Mingyang was still hiding some tricks? However, even if Zhuge Mingyang still had some tricks up his sleeve, wouldn't it be useless if his sea of qi was destroyed? This was because regardless of whether it was a battle art or a deity art, they all required cultivation and battle qi to support them. In short, without qi and cultivation, even if he had a heaven-defying qi and qi, he wouldn't be able to use it. "Qin Feiyang, it's not over yet. It's just the beginning." Just when Qin Feiyang was puzzled, Zhuge Mingyang suddenly roared, and a shocking amount of qi and blood rushed out of his body. This qi and blood with a destructive aura actually forced Qin Feiyang to retreat. What happened? Qin Feiyang was surprised. Lei Bao, Wang Yangfeng, and the others were also surprised. The people who were watching the battle also stared at Zhuge Mingyang, extremely shocked and bewildered. What was that qi and blood? It actually contained such terrifying power? Haha! Zhuge Mingyang slowly turned to look at Qin Feiyang. Looking at Qin Feiyang's expression, he couldn't help but laugh. At the same time, Qin Feiyang was shocked to find that Zhuge Mingyang's injuries were instantly healed. That's right. It happened in an instant, including the wound on his lower abdomen. Boom! Immediately after, the qi and blood receded, and a monstrous emperor's aura rushed out of Zhuge Mingyang's body. What? His qi sea was repaired just like that. I didn't see him take the spirit sea pill before? Even if he took the spirit sea pill, it shouldn't be so fast. Everyone was dumbfounded, not understanding what was going on. It was like magic. The next moment, an even more shocking scene appeared. Zhuge Mingyang's originally young and strong body was aging at a speed visible to the naked eye. In the blink of an eye, he became an old man in his 50s or 60s, with white hair and 1 foot in the grave. Everyone was shocked. His qi sea was repaired in an instant, but his appearance also aged in an instant. What was going on? Forbidden technique. Suddenly, a shocked voice sounded. Forbidden technique? Everyone was stunned and looked at the person who spoke. The person who spoke was Qin Feiyang. Zhuge Mingyang was also stunned. He looked at Qin Feiyang in surprise and laughed hoarsely. I didn't expect you to know about forbidden techniques. Qin Feiyang looked at Zhuge Mingyang, his eyes full of disbelief. He never thought that this Zhuge Mingyang not only had the Azure Dragon's secret art, Eclipse Moon and 3,000 incarnations, these 3 divine arts, but also mastered a forbidden technique. Forbidden technique. Of course he was not unfamiliar with it. Wang Zicheng and the other Blue Sea Tin heroes all had various forbidden techniques. The reason why it was called a forbidden technique was because it required one's life and qi and blood as the price in order to exert unimaginable power. And just now, Zhuge Mingyang's qi was instantly repaired. Without a doubt, it was exchanged with his life and qi and blood. Forget it. It doesn't matter even if you know about forbidden techniques, because you will die soon. As for me, I won't give you any more chances. 3,000 incarnations. Zhuge Mingyang raised his head and roared. 99 clones instantly appeared. Dragon roaring in the sky. Eclipse moon. Black moon. Azure dragon eye. Azure dragon celestial phenomenon. All kinds of divine arts were constantly evolved, carrying a monstrous murderous aura as they attacked Qin Feiyang. At this moment, the sky was full of divine arts flying like a meteor shower. The sky trembled again. Boss Qin is in a bad situation. Lei Bao muttered. No. Young master must have a way to break it. Wang Yongfeng whispered. Mingyang, you have paid such a big price, you must kill him. The Grand Preceptor also muttered to himself. Looking at Qin Feiyang again. Looking at the dense divine arts, he didn't dare to be careless. He formed a seal with both hands and the divine dragon seal appeared in the sky and blasted out. Boom! The divine dragon seal was very strong. Whether it was the Azure Dragon's secret art or the Eclipse Moon, it could easily crush them. If it was a one-on-one battle, Zhuge Mingyang wouldn't have any chance of winning with just the divine dragon seal. However, Zhuge Mingyang had the advantage in numbers. 100 Zhuge Mingyangs simultaneously evolved their battle arts. Qin Feiyang was alone and couldn't keep up with his speed at all. Although the Azure Dragon's secret art and the Eclipse Moon were crushed by the Divine Dragon Seal. In the end, the Divine Dragon Seal shattered under the endless bombardment of countless divine arts. Qin Feiyang spat out a mouthful of blood. It's time to determine the winner. Qin Feiyang, take this. The 100 Zhuge Mingyangs roared. Round after round of Eclipse Sun like a comet, emitted a dazzling light and crashed towards Qin Feiyang. With the previous lesson, Zhuge Mingyang didn't dare to be careless anymore. He took advantage of the opportunity to pursue and attack, not giving Qin Feiyang any chance to counterattack. Boom! The round of Eclipse Sun covered the sky and covered the earth. Qin Feiyang was drowned in the divine light on the spot. Young Lord! Wang Yongfeng and the others cried out anxiously. One must know. Those Eclipse Sun were evolved from divine arts. Being bombarded by so many divine arts, even a 5-star or 6-star combat emperor would be doomed, let alone a 1-star combat emperor like Qin Feiyang. This is not good. Everyone murmured in their hearts. Zhuge Mingyang was already serious. Qin Feiyang's life was at stake. Good. The state preceptor without a doubt was wild with joy. Changshui, the ancient castle, and various pill formulas that could unlock the door of potential, he had been drooling for a long time. Unfortunately, he couldn't find the opportunity. Now, as long as Qin Feiyang died, all these would be his. He couldn't help but feel excited at the thought of it. Round after round of Eclipse Sun continued to explode in the void. The light was dazzling. Everyone couldn't see Qin Feiyang's figure, but they could clearly sense that his aura was rapidly weakening. I won't stop until the last moment. Kill! 100 Zhuge Mingyangs roared in unison again. Round after round of crescent moons broke through the sky and bombarded Qin Feiyang continuously. Hee. But suddenly a sneer could be heard from the void that was engulfed by divine light. What? He's not dead yet. Everyone was shocked. Zhuge Mingyang's face was also filled with shock. Judging from the sound, Qin Feiyang didn't seem to be seriously injured. Boom! The next moment, Qin Feiyang's weakened aura suddenly soared. He took a step forward and entered everyone's line of sight. They saw that his entire body was dripping with blood, but he didn't look weak at all. His eyes were like lightning and extremely sharp. I should also get serious, otherwise you'll become arrogant again. Qin Feiyong looked at Zhuge Mingyang from afar and laughed. As he spoke, he waved his hand and a golden light appeared. Return formula. The round after round of crescent moons were immediately repelled and blasted into the river of stars one after another. Seeing this scene, everyone's hearts were in turmoil. He repelled those deity arts so easily? Heavens! What kind of method was this? The 100 Zhuge Mingyangs were also shocked. How could this be? Facing his 3,000 clones, wasn't Qin Feiyong always in a state of being beaten? How could he suddenly become so fierce? Could it be he had been holding back all this time? I don't believe it. Kill! They roared angrily. All kinds of deity arts were unleashed. They densely covered half of the sky and bombarded Qin Feiyong. That's all you can do. Qin Feiyong shook his head and smiled contemptuously. He took a step forward and walked among the deity arts as if he was taking a stroll. In the middle of his two palms, a golden return character appeared. As he waved his palms one after another, whether it was Azure Dragon's secret art or Eclipse Moon, they were all repelled. Some blasted into the river of stars. Some blasted into the city below. And the deity arts that blasted into the city were all intercepted by the Kirin army. Otherwise, the imperial city would definitely be destroyed. Why is it like this? Chapter 1291. Can't you see? Previously I didn't use my full strength at all. Qin Feiyong said indifferently. His blood-red hair danced in the wind, and the shocking battle intent shook the heavens, as if the god of war had descended. The 100 Zhuge Mingyang were stunned, and immediately roared like crazy. Why? Why did you do this? He actually didn't use his full strength. This was simply humiliating him. Because I was looking for the weakness of the 3,000 incarnations. After all, this divine art is not ordinary magical. It has aroused my curiosity. Of course, the most important thing is that I have to preserve my strength. Because there is a person here who doesn't want me to return to the imperial capital, so I have to save some energy to deal with him. I thought that I could end the battle by taking you down, but I didn't expect you to have mastered a forbidden technique. There's no other way. I can only use my full strength. Qin Feiyong laughed. And the person he was talking about was naturally the imperial tutor. Haha, 100 Zhuge Mingyang laughed, but his face was full of self-mockery. It turned out that all along it was just a comedy directed and acted by him. The other party didn't take him seriously at all. Suddenly, they were like a group of furious lions roaring. Do you think that this can destroy my confidence? No, you will only arouse my fighting spirit and killing intent. Boom! 100 Azure Dragons rose from behind them. These were their fighting souls. Innate divine ability, destroy. Following their roar, the 100 Azure Dragon fighting souls scattered in the air, turning into an invisible force that rolled in all directions. The moment he was enveloped by that force, Qin Feiyong's cultivation immediately dropped by a small realm. In other words, from a 1-star fighting emperor, he directly fell to a 9-star fighting saint. I know this innate divine ability. It can weaken the opponent's cultivation by a small realm. Now Zhuge Mingyang is still a 1-star fighting emperor, and Qin Feiyong has become a 9-star fighting saint. Facing the absolute difference in cultivation, I'm afraid that Qin Feiyong will not be able to compete with Zhuge Mingyang. People muttered. Something's wrong. Although his cultivation has dropped by a small realm, Qin Feiyong's expression hasn't changed at all. Someone else said. That's true. Could it be that he has some other tricks up his sleeve? Although there's only a difference of 1 stage between a 1-star battle emperor and a 9-star battle saint, the battle strength they can unleash is as different as heaven and earth. What will he use to break Zhuge Mingyang's innate ability? Everyone was bewildered. Qin Feiyong, I'll send you to hell right now. The 100 Zhuge Mingyangs roared, their killing intent soaring to the sky. Numerous crescent moons and suns flew towards Qin Feiyong with the power to destroy the world. I can't lose. The imperial preceptor stared fixedly at the blood moons and solar eclipses as he roared angrily in his heart, feeling uneasy. Still not giving up? Qin Feiyong shook his head. Activating the soaring dragon art, His cultivation level instantly soared to 1-star Battle Emperor. What's going on? The Imperial Preceptor and Zhuge Mingyang were immediately stunned. His innate ability was still there, but why did his cultivation level recover? At the same time, the purple gold dragon Qi appeared, and the divine statue reappeared. The Emperor. The mighty Emperor's might swept across the heavens and earth. Previously, your divine statue couldn't win against the 3,000 clones, and now it still can't win against the 3,000 clones. Zhuge Mingyang roared. Is that so? Qin Feiyong smiled faintly. With a wave of his hand, the divine statue raised the broken sword and slashed downwards. A dazzling sword aura streaked across the sky, heading straight for the divine skills. How is this possible? The aura and sharpness of this sword aura is actually several times stronger than before. Zhuge Mingyang's eyes widened. Boom! In an instant, the sword aura arrived with a loud bang. The crescent moon and solar eclipses were like rotten wood, unable to withstand a single blow and were crushed into pieces. 100 Zhuge Mingyangs were dumbfounded. They didn't expect that even the third move, the Emperor, hadn't displayed its full strength before. How much more are you hiding? They roared again and again. My hidden means are not something you can imagine. For example, the fourth move of the Divine Dragon technique. Qin Feiyong said faintly. The fourth move. Zhuge Mingyang's body and mind trembled. That's right. The Divine Dragon technique had a fourth move. But until now, they had never seen Qin Feiyong use the fourth move. Watch out! The Imperial Preceptor suddenly roared. Because the sword aura had already arrived in front of Zhuge Mingyang. Zhuge Mingyang quivered and quickly regained his senses, hurriedly retreating. But the 99 clones were all annihilated by the sword aura. Puff! Zhuge Mingyang spat out blood. Roar! The purple gold dragon soul roared out, and the Emperor prison sealed all directions. Zhuge Mingyang was fixed in the void on the spot, unable to move at all. After freezing Zhuge Mingyang, Qin Feiyong didn't waste any time and pointed his finger at him. Ultimate void. An invisible force surged out like an arrow, with a shocking sharpness, flying towards Zhuge Mingyang. Damn it! The Imperial Preceptor's heart sank. With a wave of his hand, a wave of false god power appeared and blasted towards the Emperor prison. As long as the Emperor prison collapsed, Zhuge Mingyang would be able to regain his freedom and naturally have the ability to fight back. Don't go too far. Qin Feiyong was seething with anger. However, the Imperial Preceptor turned a deaf ear. Because he knew that if he let Zhuge Mingyang fall into the hands of Qin Feiyong, Zhuge Mingyang would definitely die. So, no matter what, he couldn't let this happen. And he was also very confident in his own strength. Because he was a false god. If he couldn't save Zhuge Mingyang from Qin Feiyong with his false god power, then it would really be a joke. But at this moment, a change occurred. Boom! A strand of divine sense suddenly appeared and blasted towards the Imperial Preceptor's false god power. With a loud bang, the false god power dissipated on the spot. That strand of divine sense instantly disappeared again. Who? The Imperial Preceptor was shocked and quickly looked around. The others also looked at the void in surprise. There was actually someone who could easily destroy the Imperial Preceptor's false god power? This was too terrifying. The Imperial Preceptor was a false god. However, a bright light flashed through Qin Feiyong's eyes. Although this strand of divine sense was like a flash in the pan, the aura it emitted gave him a very familiar feeling. That's right. It was Lu Xingchen. Suddenly, a blood-curdling scream rang out, jolting everyone awake. Everyone looked towards the direction of the sound and saw that the invisible force directly entered Zhuge Mingyang's sea of qi. Blood suddenly spurted out, and Qin Feiyong was rushing towards Zhuge Mingyang. Bastard! The Imperial Preceptor was furious and hurriedly rushed towards Qin Feiyong. But at this time, that strand of divine sense appeared again and directly rushed towards the Imperial Preceptor's forehead. The Imperial Preceptor turned pale with fright and hurriedly tilted his head. Divine sense swept past his temple, shattering his ears on the spot, and blood gushed out. Following closely, that strand of divine sense disappeared again. Who? Get out for this Imperial Preceptor. The Imperial Preceptor was completely furious. His divine sense was like a tide rolling in all directions. At the same time, Qin Feiyong also rushed in front of Zhuge Mingyang. His big hand was like an eagle's claw, firmly grasping Zhuge Mingyang's head, then turned to look at the Imperial Preceptor and smiled. Look at this. The Imperial Preceptor turned his head to look and was immediately shocked and angry, roaring, "If you don't want to die, let him go immediately. What are you in a hurry for? Doesn't he have a forbidden technique? When he activates the forbidden technique again, won't he naturally be able to break free from my hands?" Qin Feiyong chuckled, then lowered his head to look at Zhuge Mingyang, and joked, "However, looking at your old appearance now, you probably won't dare to activate it again." Zhuge Mingyang smiled bitterly, did not say anything, and directly closed his eyes. "You're quite straightforward." Qin Feiyong smiled, released Zhuge Mingyang, and formed a seal with both hands. An enslavement seal instantly appeared. "You dare!" Seeing this, the Imperial Preceptor roared, extremely anxious, but he did not dare to make a move, because he was afraid. He was afraid that Lu Xingchen, who was hiding in the dark, would take the opportunity to deal with him. The enslavement seal sank into Zhuge Mingyang's skull, and Zhuge Mingyang immediately howled miserably. However, the howling did not last long. After controlling Zhuge Mingyang, Qin Feiyong also secretly breathed a sigh of relief. With the enslavement seal, even if Zhuge Mingyang could activate the forbidden technique again, there was no need to worry about it, because he could completely erase Zhuge Mingyang's soul before Zhuge Mingyang's Sea of Qi recovered. Qin Feiyong looked at the Imperial Preceptor, his eyes flashing. "Here you are." Suddenly, Qin Feiyong waved his hand, and Zhuge Mingyang immediately flew towards the Imperial Preceptor like a meteorite. What? He actually let Zhuge Mingyang go. When did he become so kind? Everyone was petrified on the spot. Of course, they did not know the power of the enslavement seal. If they knew, they would definitely not think so. For example, the commander of the Kirin army. At this moment, he was wondering what Qin Feiyong was planning, because he knew Qin Feiyong too well. It was impossible for him to let Zhuge Mingyang go for no reason. Looking at the Imperial Preceptor again, he quickly flew up and reached out to catch Zhuge Mingyang, and asked with concern, "Are you okay?" "I'm sorry. I'm incompetent. Not only did I fail to kill him, but I was controlled by him." Zhuge Mingyang blamed himself. "It's okay, I'll think of a way." The Imperial Preceptor comforted him in a low voice, looked up at Qin Feiyong, and transmitted his voice, "Tell me, what do I have to do to remove his control?" Qin Feiyong smiled and said, "I'm not free now. When I'm free, we'll talk about it slowly." Of course. He also transmitted his voice secretly. "You." The Imperial Preceptor was furious. He had already lowered his status. What else did he want? "I'm waiting for you in the throne room. You can't not come." Qin Feiyong glanced at the Imperial Preceptor indifferently and sneered secretly. Then he looked at Lei Bao, Wang Yangfeng, and the others and said, "Let's go." Lei Bao, Wang Yangfeng, and the others immediately flew toward Qin Feiyong. "Wait." The Imperial Preceptor seemed to have thought of something and suddenly transmitted his voice to Qin Feiyong. "Is there anything else?" Qin Feiyong asked without looking back. The Imperial Preceptor said in a deep voice, "Who was the person who secretly attacked just now? What do you think?" Qin Feiyong smiled mockingly. Instead of answering, he asked a question. A wisp of divine consciousness is so terrifying. His cultivation must be higher than mine, but as far as I know, there is no such person in the Great Qin Empire. Who is he? Why did he help you? Chapter 1292. Qin Feiyong pondered for a while and said with a smile, "Because I have a good character. No matter where I go, I'll be able to meet noble people." Good character? The Grand Preceptor was furious. How could there be such a shameless person in this world? "Remember, I'll be waiting for you in the throne room." Qin Feiyong chuckled and left with Lei Bao, Wang Yangfeng, and the others. The Grand Preceptor and Zhuge Mingyang were too embarrassed to stay any longer. They opened a portal and left. The Kirin army commander also opened a portal, and led a group of deputy commanders to the throne room. Zhuge Mingyang was completely defeated. Yeah, although Qin Feiyong didn't force him to kneel this time. He must be devastated after being defeated by Qin Feiyong twice in a row. I guess it'll be hard for him to walk out of Qin Feiyong's shadow in the future. Everyone sighed. Qin Feiyong was simply a monster. Wait, didn't he say he's going to the throne room? Someone asked in surprise. Yeah, I think he said he's going to the throne room. He hasn't caused enough trouble here. He wants to go to the imperial palace? With his character, it's normal for him to cause trouble. Isn't that so? I heard that he's destroyed the throne room twice. I wonder what he's going to do this time. Twice. This guy is really lawless. I really want to go to the imperial palace to have a look. Unfortunately, with our status, we don't even have the qualifications to enter the imperial palace. Everyone was discussing. At the same time, the throne room had entered a state of full alert. A group of deputy commanders of the Kirin army personally guarded both sides of the throne room's door. Inside the throne room, the emperor was wearing a dragon robe and a dragon crown. He sat on the dragon throne. An invisible emperor's aura filled the entire throne room. At this moment there was no expression on his face. No one knew what he was thinking. The chief eunuch stood behind the emperor and looked at the throne room's door with a worried face. The commander of the Kirin army stood at the side of the dragon throne with a hint of worry in his eyes. It's Qin Feiyong. This is too much. He actually dares to openly walk in the sky above the imperial palace. He's simply looking down on His Majesty. Where does he think this is? The moment Qin Feiyong's group entered the airspace above the imperial palace, they attracted the attention of countless people. Eunuchs and palace maids. Invincible Black Army, Kirin Army. Even the emperor's 3,000 concubines ran out and looked at Qin Feiyong's group with fear on their faces. Although they didn't like Qin Feiyong's current behavior, they didn't dare to say anything. Young master, is this where you used to live? Wang Yongfeng and the others curiously sized up everything in the imperial palace. Yes, this is my home. However, over the years every time I came back I had to sneak around. Don't you think that's funny? Qin Feiyong mocked himself. It's all in the past. Wang Yongfeng and the others looked at each other and comforted him. That's right, it's all in the past. Qin Feiyong nodded. He raised his head and swept his gaze over the entire imperial palace. He clenched his fists and said, "From this moment onwards, this is my backyard. I can come and go as I please. No one can stop me." Lei Bao's eyes lit up and he said with a flattering smile, "Isn't that also my back garden?" Qin Feiyong rolled his eyes at him. Wang Yongfeng smiled and said, "The young master can say that, but you can't." "Why?" Lei Bao looked at him in confusion. "Because this is the imperial palace. If you say that, it's tantamount to rebellion," Wang Yongfeng said. Lei Bao glanced at Qin Feiyong and wondered, "Then can he say it? Do you still need to ask? The young master is originally from here," Wang Yongfeng said helplessly. Soon, the imperial palace came into everyone's sight. Qin Feiyong walked to the top of the imperial palace and glanced at the deputy commanders. Then, he took a step forward and landed in front of the imperial palace. The group of deputy commanders immediately became nervous, afraid that Qin Feiyong would destroy the imperial palace again. Qin Feiyong smiled coldly and strode up the stairs. Lei Bao, Wang Yongfeng, and the others followed closely behind. Wait! But suddenly a deputy commander blocked in front of Lei Bao, Wang Yongfeng, and the others. Qin Feiyong raised his eyebrows and turned to look at the deputy commander. The deputy commander's gaze trembled and he hurriedly bowed and said, "His Majesty has ordered that only you are summoned." Qin Feiyong said, "They are my subordinates. Wherever I go, they will naturally follow. Do you have any objections?" "I wouldn't dare." The deputy commander hurriedly shook his head. "Then get out of the way," Qin Feiyong shouted. The deputy commander looked helplessly at the other deputy commanders. However, the other deputy commanders didn't dare to say a word. They lowered their heads in extreme panic. "All right, you have your duty. I won't make things difficult for you. However, if they don't go in, I won't go in either. Go and ask the emperor to come out and talk to me," Qin Feiyong said lightly. The deputy commander's expression changed and he hurriedly said, "Your Highness, His Majesty is the emperor. Isn't this a little inappropriate? Are you challenging my patience?" Qin Feiyong's gaze was slightly cold. "I wouldn't dare," the deputy commander said fearfully. Let them all in. At this moment, the emperor's majestic voice sounded in the imperial palace. Yes, the deputy commander hurriedly replied, then stepped aside and bowed. Everyone, please. When Qin Feiyang and the others entered the imperial palace, the deputy commander heaved a sigh of relief. His entire body was drenched in sweat. How was it? The other deputy commanders looked at him and secretly asked. Very strong pressure. Standing in front of him is like standing in front of His Majesty. The deputy commander thought, his eyes full of wariness. The other deputy commanders looked at each other and couldn't help but look at the imperial palace worriedly. Even an idiot could see that Qin Feiyang had returned this time to settle scores with His Majesty. With so many experts following him, who knew what would happen? Inside the imperial palace, Qin Feiyang stood in the center of the imperial palace and looked up at the emperor. The emperor was naturally not to be outdone. He looked down at Qin Feiyang condescendingly. This is the imperial palace? Apart from being a little gorgeous, there's nothing special about it. Lei Bao looked at the imperial palace with some disdain in his eyes. Hearing this, the chief eunuch and the commander of the Kirin army couldn't help but twitch the corners of their mouths. Wasn't this all thanks to Qin Feiyang? The original imperial palace was left behind by the first emperor. Every brick and tile gave people a great sense of oppression. But now, although it was rebuilt and restored as much as possible, it was less majestic than before. You came back to the imperial capital in such a big way. Do you have any respect for me? The emperor was the first to break the silence and looked at Qin Feiyang angrily. Who are you? Why should I care about you? Qin Feiyang said lightly. Don't be rude. The chief eunuch scolded. Qin Feiyang turned his eyes and fell on the chief eunuch. His eyes were calm, but the chief eunuch couldn't help but feel afraid. What? Do you still want to kill in the imperial palace? Seeing this, the emperor was furious. He slapped the armrest and stood up. Qin Feiyang smiled coldly and said, You're right. I really want to kill in the imperial palace. Bring him here. As soon as he finished speaking, Wang Yongfeng took the brawny man in golden armor and walked to Qin Feiyang. Then he threw him in front of Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang didn't kill the brawny man in golden armor. He kept him for this moment. Your Majesty, save me. The brawny man in golden armor was terrified. He quickly knelt on the ground and looked helplessly at the emperor, calling for help. The emperor looked at the brawny man in golden armor and suddenly became angry. He shouted, What did I tell you before I left? I know I was wrong. Your Majesty, please spare my life. The brawny man in golden armor trembled and hurriedly kowtowed. Bang bang. The emperor glanced at him and then looked up at Qin Feiyang. Although he didn't do as I ordered, he didn't do anything wrong. Because you are a wanted criminal. As the commander of the invincible Black Army, it is reasonable for him to arrest you. It is reasonable, Qin Feiyang murmured. His eyes suddenly surged with killing intent. He waved his hand and a red sword chi swept out with amazing killing intent. Chapter 1293. The emperor looked at the commander of the Kirin army and the others and said, You can leave now. Yes, Your Majesty. The commander of the Kirin army and the others responded respectfully and retreated to the side. But they were always vigilant. This time, the emperor looked at Qin Feiyang and said expressionlessly, Do you dare to touch me? Qin Feiyang took a step forward and the changshui appeared and placed it on the emperor's neck. The sharp blade cut through the emperor's skin, causing blood to flow out. Qin Feiyang, don't be rash. The commander of the Kirin army shouted anxiously. The emperor didn't expect that Qin Feiyang would dare to attack him. Do you really think I don't dare? Qin Feiyang looked down at the emperor coldly, his eyes flashing with killing intent. Then do it, the emperor said. Qin Feiyang sneered and said, Are you looking for death? The emperor was silent. Not talking. Then let me guess, why are you looking for death? Do you feel guilty because you have done too many evil things? Qin Feiyang sneered. Enough. The commander of the Kirin army shouted angrily, Qin Feiyang, the imperial palace is not as simple as you think. If you dare to hurt His Majesty, I can guarantee that you will not leave here alive. Really? Qin Feiyang sneered and turned to the commander of the Kirin army and asked, Are you talking about the fake gods hiding in the back mountain? Yes. Any one of them will be enough to crush you into pieces, the commander of the Kirin army said in a deep voice. Unfortunately, their time is up. Qin Feiyong shook his head and said, although their time is up, they don't mind sacrificing their lives if someone threatens the lifeline of the great Qin Empire. The commander of the Kirin army said. Qin Feiyong said, if you're so great, why don't you get rid of that old bastard, the imperial advisor? What did the imperial tutor do wrong? Why do you want to get rid of him? The commander of the Kirin army asked. Qin Feiyong shook his head, his face full of sarcasm. Qin Feiyong, don't talk nonsense behind my back and slander me. At this moment, the imperial preceptor rushed into the throne room and looked at Qin Feiyong gloomily. Release His Majesty now. Let him go. Qin Feiyong was stunned. He turned to look at the state preceptor and asked, that's not right. Logically speaking, you should be happy to see me holding a knife to his neck. Why are you concerned about him instead? I don't know what you're talking about. In short, release His Majesty immediately. Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite. The imperial preceptor's pupils constricted as he shouted angrily. Haha. Qin Feiyong burst out laughing in public, his eyes full of mockery. The imperial preceptor's face became more and more ugly. Qin Feiyong shook his head and lowered his head to look at the emperor. He grinned and said, don't worry, I won't kill you right now. It's not because I can't do it. It's because I want you to see how foolish and laughable your actions have been all these years. After that, he put away Chang Shui, turned to the center of the hall, and looked at the chief eunuch. Bring me an armchair. The throne room was the place where the emperors presided over the state affairs, so there were no other chairs except the dragon chair, and no other chairs were allowed, because there was only one person who was qualified to sit here, and that was the emperor. Even the imperial preceptor did not have such honor and treatment. So, hearing Qin Feiyong's words, the chief eunuch was in a dilemma and looked at the emperor and the imperial preceptor for help. The emperor was silent. The imperial preceptor looked at the emperor and said patiently, bring him one. Yes. The head eunuch responded. He then took out an armchair from his Qianquan bag, and respectfully presented it in front of Qin Feiyong. He even used his sleeve to wipe it to see if there was any dust on it. Qin Feiyong sat on it, supported his head with his right hand, and tapped the armrest with his left hand rhythmically. He said lightly, hurry up and give the decree. Don't waste everyone's time. Presumptuous, too presumptuous. Those vice commanders all had indignant expressions on their faces. This was the throne room, sacred and solemn. However, this person was so frivolous in the throne room. He simply had no respect for the law. But the emperor still did not say a word. The imperial preceptor frowned and cupped one hand in the other before his chest. Your Majesty, although Qin Feiyong has been unscrupulous and lawless these years, he is the successor of the former emperor. So I hope that your Majesty can give him a way out and take back his fame. The chief eunuch and the commander of the Kirin army looked at the imperial preceptor in surprise. The imperial preceptor actually interceded for Qin Feiyong? What a strange story. What was going on? However, the emperor still kept his mouth shut, and his expression did not change at all. Qin Feiyong's patience was worn out. Don't think that I can't stay in Imperial City if you don't take back the arrest warrant. I'm telling you, I'm going to Bright Heaven Palace now. If you have the ability, come and drive me away. Qin Feiyong smiled coldly, got up and led Lei Bao, Wang Yongfeng and the others outside. Bright Heaven Palace. The emperor's eyes trembled and he shouted, stop. Qin Feiyong raised the corner of his mouth, pretended not to hear, and walked out of the throne room. Then, he turned his head and looked at the throne room. What's wrong? Lei Bao, Wang Yongfeng, and the others looked at him suspiciously. At the same time, the commander of the Kirin army and the others also looked at Qin Feiyong. Seeing Qin Feiyong's eyes, an uneasy premonition arose in their hearts. There's really no need for this place to exist. Qin Feiyong waved his hand, and Red Sword Chi emerged, rushing towards the throne room like a tide. No! The commander of the Kirin army roared, and hurriedly rushed out, rushing towards the Red Sword Chi. But it was too late. With a loud bang, the throne room was shattered on the spot, and dust covered the sky. After that, Qin Feiyong opened the teleportation gate and left without looking back. It's destroyed again. The commander of the Kirin army glanced at Qin Feiyong, looked back at the ruins in front of him, and muttered to himself, his eyes full of helplessness. The current Qin Feiyong had grown up. Without a false god, no one could subdue him. Your Majesty! Suddenly, thinking that the emperor was still inside, he hurriedly waved his hand, and a gust of wind suddenly blew, dispersing the dust. The Grand Master condensed a divine power boundary, which enveloped the emperor, the chief eunuch, and the deputy commanders, and isolated them from the dust outside. The emperor was still sitting on the dragon throne, but his face was extremely gloomy. His body was trembling, and his hands were tightly clenched together. Your Majesty, please calm down. The commander of the Kirin army hurriedly flew over and knelt on the ground. A deputy commander bowed and said, Your Majesty, Qin Feiyong has repeatedly destroyed the throne room, and he deserves to be punished. Your Majesty, please immediately issue a decree, and order the Grand Master to personally lead people to arrest him. The Grand Master immediately raised his eyebrows and looked at the deputy commander with a touch of hostility in his old eyes. Zhuge Shenfeng was in Qin Feiyong's hands, and Zhuge Mingyang was also under Qin Feiyong's control. How dare he instigate the emperor to arrest Qin Feiyong? Wasn't this deliberately causing trouble for him? The emperor raised his head and looked at the Grand Master. The Grand Master's eyes trembled, and he cupped his hands and said, Your Majesty, if you really issue a decree, I dare not disobey, but I think it's not the right time to attack Qin Feiyong. This is the third time and it's not the right time to attack him. Do you want to wait until he destroys the entire imperial palace? The deputy commander was so angry that he forgot that the person standing in front of him was the Grand Master of the imperial court. The Grand Master's eyes flashed with murderous intent, and he shouted, Shut up, do you have the right to speak here? His voice was like thunder, and it passed into the deputy commander's ears. The deputy commander quivered, and a trace of panic crept up in his eyes. Only now did he realize that he was talking to the Grand Master. If you dare to say one more word, don't blame me for being impolite. The imperial preceptor groaned coldly. Then he looked at the emperor and said, Your Majesty, Qin Feiyong brought people and ferocious beasts. I'm sure you can see that they're all 9-star battle emperors. The emperor nodded. Although there aren't many of them, including Lei Bao, there are only 19 9-star combat emperors, but I found that there was a mysterious expert secretly protecting him in the first district, the Grand Master said. The emperor frowned. The chief eunuch asked, Grand Master, may I ask who the mysterious expert is? I don't know, but I'm sure that this person's strength is stronger than mine, the Grand Master said in a deep voice, and his face was full of seriousness. What? The chief eunuch's face suddenly changed. The emperor also stood up, and his face was full of disbelief. The Grand Master said, I don't dare to say that. At that time, the commander and deputy commanders of the Kirin army also saw it with their own eyes, but this person never appeared, so no one knows who he is, and no one knows what he looks like. The emperor looked at the commanders of the Kirin army and the others. The commanders of the Kirin army nodded. The emperor's eyes darkened slightly, and he said, So this mysterious expert is his biggest reliance? That's right. So, I suggest that we first stabilize Qin Feiyong, and then make a long-term plan after we find out the identity of this mysterious expert. The Grand Master said. I didn't expect it, I really didn't expect it. In just a few decades, this little bastard has not only cultivated so many 9-star combat emperors, but also found such a terrifying backer. I really regret not killing him when I crippled his cultivation. The emperor said sternly. Things have already developed to this point. It's useless for your Majesty to regret. Let's first issue a decree to remove the arrest warrant. Also, let's hurry to the Bright Sky Palace. Maybe Qin Feiyong will harm the little prince. The Grand Master sighed. In fact, his heart was bleeding, because Wang Yongfeng and the others were cultivated by him, but now they had become a sharp blade in Qin Feiyong's hand. Fine. The emperor sighed helplessly, looked at the chief eunuch and ordered, Immediately go and announce to the world that I am benevolent and have forgiven Qin Feiyong for his past mistakes. Yes, Your Majesty. The chief eunuch bowed and replied. Commander of the Kirin army, take some people to rebuild the throne room. After saying that, the emperor opened the portal and went to the bright sky palace. After the Grand Master watched the emperor leave, he turned his head and looked at the deputy commander who had just contradicted him. The deputy commander's face turned pale, and he knelt on the ground trembling. Seeing that the situation was not good, the commander of the Kirin army hurriedly went up and cupped his hands with a smile. Lord Grandmaster, he was too angry with Qin Feiyong just now. It was an unintentional mistake. I hope Your Majesty can forgive him. Chapter 1294. It wasn't until the teleportation gate dissipated that the vice commander's heart finally relaxed. He turned to the commander of the Kirin army and said gratefully, "Thank you for pleading for me, Commander." The commander of the Kirin army said, "Get up." Yes. The vice commander nodded and stood up slowly, only to find that his legs had lost their strength. "You're paralyzed by this? How dare you offend him?" The commander of the Kirin army shook his head helplessly and pulled the vice commander up. "I didn't mean it." The vice commander felt wronged. The other vice commanders also surrounded him and looked at him with schadenfreude. The vice commander smiled bitterly and then frowned. "Commander, don't you think it's strange? Ahem." But without waiting for that deputy commander to finish speaking, the commander of the Qilin army gave a dry cough and turned his head to look at the head eunuch. He smiled and said, "Head eunuch, didn't His Majesty ask you to announce to the world? Why are you still standing here? Are you going to help us rebuild the throne room?" I'm going. The chief eunuch smiled embarrassedly, opened the portal and left. Seeing the portal disappear, the commander of the Kirin army withdrew his gaze and looked at the vice commander. "Now tell me. You see, the grudge between the imperial advisor and Qin Feiyong is not known to others, but we know it very well. They will not stop until one of them is dead. But why did the imperial advisor protect Qin Feiyong in front of His Majesty? Is it really because of that mysterious powerhouse? If so, how do you explain the imperial advisor's hesitation in front of Qin Feiyong in the first district? You know, that mysterious powerhouse hadn't appeared at that time," the vice commander said. "To be honest, the imperial advisor's behavior today is really strange. It's not his style at all." The other vice commanders nodded as well. The commander of the Kirin army said, "Actually, I also want to ask this question, but I can't figure it out." One of the vice commanders suddenly said, "Could it be that Qin Feiyong has something on the imperial advisor?" "Don't say it. That's possible. Otherwise, why would he suddenly change?" The group of vice commanders began to discuss this all at once. "Blackmail?" The commander of the Kirin army muttered to himself. Actually, that was what he thought as well. But he just couldn't figure out what kind of evidence could make the state preceptor so cautious. All right. Don't think too much. When the time comes, the truth will naturally be revealed to the world. The only thing I'm worried about now is whether Qin Feiyong and His Majesty will cause trouble in Bright Sky Palace again. The commander of the Kirin army looked in the direction of Bright Sky Palace, his face full of worry. "Bright Sky Palace? This is my child's bedroom. What right do you have to chase us away?" The current empress stood in front of the door, looking at Qin Feiyong and the others who were standing at the bottom of the stairs. The guards guarding Dawn Heaven Palace also rushed over one after another, surrounding Qin Feiyong and company, as if facing a great enemy. "What right do I have?" Qin Feiyong smiled coldly and said, "This is my Qin Feiyong's bedroom to begin with. What right do you have? That was in the past. And now you've been stripped of your position as a prince. What right do you have to stay in the imperial palace?" The current empress roared like a shrew. "You're talking about qualifications with me? Who do you think you are? Get lost right now, or don't blame me for being impolite," Qin Feiyong said coldly. "The one who should get lost is you. Impolite to me? Try touching me if you have the ability. I'm the empress now. If you dare touch a single hair of mine, His Majesty won't let you off." The current empress shouted, not feeling any fear at all. "Cripple her." Qin Feiyong's eyes turned cold. Lei Bao snickered. and a wisp of lightning power streaked across the sky like lightning, entering the current empress's abdomen. Ah! The current empress screamed immediately. Empress! The group of guards' expressions changed drastically, and they hurriedly pulled out the swords in their hands. Who dares to touch me? Qin Feiyong looked around. His eyes were as cold as the Grim Reaper's. Those guards felt as if they had fallen into an ice cellar, and their bodies were cold. No one dared to take a step closer. Qin Feiyong smiled disdainfully, looked at the current empress and shouted, "Slap her!" Wang Yongfeng immediately stepped forward and slapped the current empress's face. A bright red palm print immediately appeared. The current empress was stunned. Not only did he cripple her sea of qi, but he also slapped her in public? Qin Feiyong, I'm the mother of a country. How dare you let someone hit me? Are you rebelling? The next moment, she went crazy and screamed hysterically. You think you're worthy of being the mother of a country? Qin Feiyong's eyes were full of contempt, and he shouted, one is not enough. Continue until she can't scream. Wang Yongfeng's left hand shot out and grabbed the current empress's arm to prevent her from struggling. Then she raised her right hand and slapped the current empress's face one after another. For a moment, blood splattered everywhere. Screams resounded through the sky. Your Highness, I beg you, please have mercy. The empress's body is priceless. You can't continue to hit her. Those guards put down their weapons and knelt on the ground to beg for mercy. But Qin Feiyong turned a deaf ear. Swoosh! At this moment, the emperor came. Seeing this scene, he was furious. Unfilial son, how long are you going to fool around? Release her immediately and apologize to her. At the same time, the emperor swooped down like lightning and slapped Wang Yongfeng. Do you think I don't exist? Lei Bao chuckled. Like a ghost, he instantly appeared in front of Wang Yongfeng and attacked with his claw. Bang! The emperor was pushed back on the spot. Lei Bao also took a few steps back, but there was no trace of injury. He stood beside Wang Yongfeng and looked at the emperor with a smile. Before Boss Qin gives the order, no one can take a step forward. Your Majesty, save me. The current empress cried for help in despair. You can still shout? Continue. Qin Feiyong said. Smack! Wang Yongfeng raised her hand and slapped down mercilessly. The current empress's face was bleeding and flesh and blood splattered everywhere. Preposterous, preposterous. Do you still have the law in your eyes? The emperor was furious. Sorry. What is the law? Lei Bao asked curiously. The emperor spat out a mouthful of blood. He clutched his chest and clenched his 5 fingers tightly. Ouch! You spat out blood just like that? You're too weak. It's my fault, however, I really don't know the law you're talking about. I only know that Boss Qin's words are the law. Lei Bao laughed sinisterly. The emperor suddenly turned his head and stared at Qin Feiyong. Qin Feiyong turned a blind eye. Why did you hit my mother? Let go of my mother. This time, the little prince ran out of the hall. The emperor's face changed and hurriedly shouted, Tian'er, don't come out. Qin Feiyong's eyes flashed slightly and sneered. Since you're already here, don't leave, Wang Yishan. Whoosh! Wang Yishan immediately flew out, grabbed the little prince, and returned to Qin Feiyong's side. Qin Feiyong, he's your biological brother, what are you trying to do? The emperor roared. Biological brother. Qin Feiyong muttered to himself and looked down at the little prince. Suddenly, a wisp of battle qi flew out of his palm and went straight to the little prince's glabella. No, please let him go, he's just a child. The emperor was desperate. The little prince also had a look of terror on his face. He's a child? Then when you used the evil spirit pill to destroy my cultivation and expel me from the capital, I was not a child. Qin Feiyong's entire body also emitted an astonishing amount of hostility. The wisp of battle qi stopped in front of the little prince's glabella, but the sharp edge tore the skin between the little prince's glabella, and drops of blood kept dripping. Don't kill him, please, the emperor murmured and collapsed to the ground. I didn't expect you to care about him so much. Since you care so much, you'd better protect him closely from now on. Because if I'm in a bad mood one day, I may kill him. Qin Feiyong smiled coldly, grabbed the little prince and threw him over. But no one noticed that when he threw the little prince to the emperor, he reached out and caught a drop of the little prince's blood. The emperor hurriedly got up and reached out to catch the little prince. The frightened little prince immediately burrowed into the emperor's arms and cried, "Don't be afraid, father is here." The emperor comforted in a low voice. Qin Feiyong's eyes flashed, and he whispered a few words in Wang Yishan's ear. "Why is that?" Hearing this, Wang Yishan's eyes were full of confusion. "Just do as I say," Qin Feiyong said telepathically. "Okay." Wang Yishan nodded, took out a dagger secretly, and then rushed toward the emperor like a sharp arrow. The emperor was concerned about the little prince and did not notice at all. Puff! Wang Yishan rushed in front of the emperor and directly stabbed into the emperor's left shoulder. Blood immediately spurted out. Then, before the emperor could react, Wang Yishan grabbed a few drops of blood and returned to Qin Feiyong's side in silence. Unfilial son, unfilial son. After the emperor came to his senses, he looked at the wound on his shoulder and immediately shouted at Qin Feiyong. Qin Feiyong ignored him and looked at the current empress. In just a short while, this woman had been slapped at least hundreds of times, and her face had long been unrecognizable. She could not scream anymore. If it were not for Wang Yongfeng holding her, she would not even have the strength to stand. Qin Feiyong said, "That's enough." Wang Yongfeng stopped, let go of the current empress, and returned to Qin Feiyong's side. And the current empress collapsed on the ground on the spot like a pool of mud. Qin Feiyong turned to look at the emperor and said lightly, "From now on, this is my territory, Qin Feiyong. Without my permission, no one is allowed to step in, including you, the master of the imperial palace. Take her and get out." The emperor glanced at Qin Feiyong coldly, picked up the little prince, looked at the group of guards and shouted, "What are you waiting for? Hurry up and help the empress go." 2 guards immediately ran up, one on the left and one on the right, and helped the current empress up to the emperor's side. "You will be punished by the heavens." The emperor stared at Qin Feiyong and coldly threw down these words. Then, he carried the little prince and left. "Heaven's punishment," Qin Feiyong murmured. A hint of disdain flashed in his eyes, and then looked at the current empress, and transmitted his voice. "Don't think that you can hide your dealings with Zhuge Wuho from the world. Prepare to die as soon as possible." The current empress was about to faint, but when she heard these words it was like a bolt from the blue, and she suddenly woke up. What did he mean? Did he know? But how was that possible? Chapter 1295. After the emperor and the rest left, Wang Yongfeng retracted her gaze and looked at Qin Feiyong, whispering, "Do you feel uncomfortable seeing the emperor dote on the little prince so much?" "Uncomfortable?" Qin Feiyong smiled coldly and strode into the palace. Wang Yongfeng and the rest looked at each other and quickly followed. The decorations in the hall were extremely luxurious, with all kinds of agate, jade, and precious stones. However, to Qin Feiyong, these were just ordinary things that he was not interested in at all. He stood in the middle of the hall and scanned the surroundings. Suddenly, he turned to Wang Yongfeng and said, "Go and find a bowl of water immediately." "What do you need water for?" Wang Yongfeng was puzzled. Qin Feiyong said, "You'll know later." "All right, I'll go now." Wang Yongfeng nodded and turned to walk out of the palace quickly. "I'll go for a stroll too." Lei Bao chuckled and turned into a bolt of lightning, disappearing from everyone's sight. Wang Yishan said, "It won't go and cause trouble, right?" "It doesn't matter," Qin Feiyong said indifferently and walked to a chair, sitting down and lowering his head to ponder. In a short while, Wang Yongfeng returned with a bowl of water and brought it to Qin Feiyong. "Don't move it," Qin Feiyong said. "Okay." Wang Yongfeng nodded. "Phew." Qin Feiyong looked at the water in the bowl and took a deep breath. Then he raised his arm and opened his palm. A drop of blood appeared in front of everyone. Seeing that drop of blood, everyone couldn't help but be stunned. Dong! Qin Feiyong flipped his hand and the blood fell into the bowl. Then, he looked at Wang Yishan and said, "Put the blood in your hand in too." Okay. Wang Yishan came back to his senses and ran to Qin Feiyong. Then, he waved his hand and the blood in his hand dripped into the bowl. "Whose blood is this?" Wang Yongfeng was surprised. "The emperor and the little prince," Qin Feiyong said. "The emperor? The little prince?" Everyone was slightly stunned. "I understand." Wang Yishan suddenly showed a look of understanding and said, "So young master is dripping blood to identify relatives?" "Yes." Qin Feiyang nodded. Now the first thing he had to figure out was whether this little prince was really the emperor's flesh and blood. Therefore he came up with the idea of a blood test. If the little prince was really the flesh and blood of the emperor, then their blood could be mixed in the water. If it wasn't, it wouldn't have fused. Inside the palace, at this moment there was a deathly silence. Qin Feiyang nervously looked at the 2 drops of blood in the bowl. To tell the truth, he did not dislike the little prince. Instead, he felt an inexplicable sense of kinship with the little prince. This could be because every time the little prince saw him, he would affectionately call him brother. Therefore, he especially hoped that there was no problem with the identity of the little prince. Time passed by slowly. The 2 drops of blood gradually drew close to each other, and then melted bit by bit until they were completely inseparable. Wang Yangfeng and the others looked at each other and then at Qin Feiyang. This was enough to prove that the little prince was indeed the emperor's flesh and blood. Qin Feiyang looked at the blood in the bowl and suddenly shook his head with a smile. He waved his hand and said, "Go and pour it away." Wang Yangfeng nodded and turned to leave. Wang Yishan asked, "Young master, how do you plan to deal with the little prince now?" Qin Feiyang held his forehead and pondered for a while. Murderous intent flashed in his eyes and he said, "Try not to hurt the little prince in the future. But now the empress must die." This, everyone looked at each other. "What?" Qin Feiyang looked at everyone in confusion. Wang Yishan said, "Young master, although the empress is indecent, she is the little prince's birth mother after all. If you kill her, the little prince may hate you in the future. If he is a reasonable person when he grows up, he won't blame me. But if he is as ignorant as the other princes, I don't mind getting rid of him too." Qin Feiyang said. Wang Yishan and the others were shocked. This young master was really a decisive person. "Young master." At this moment, Wang Yangfeng hurried in and whispered, "When I was pouring water just now, I accidentally found that there were a few guards around the Bright Sky Palace. They were sneaking around and seemed to be monitoring us." Wang Yishan and the others frowned when they heard this. Qin Feiyang was not surprised at all. He smiled faintly and said, "This is normal. After all, you are all 9-star combat emperors and are top experts in the entire Great Qin Empire. Of course, there will be people worried that we will mess around in the palace. Then should we get rid of them?" Wang Yangfeng's eyes flashed with murderous intent as he made a throat-slitting gesture. "No need. Let them monitor us. I don't plan to live here anyway." Qin Feiyang waved his hand. Everyone was stunned. Wang Yangfeng was puzzled. "If you don't plan to live here, then why did you snatch the Bright Sky Palace? This is the place where my mother and I used to live. All my beautiful memories are here. In the past, because I didn't have the ability, I let that woman occupy the Bright Sky Palace. And now, with all of you by my side to help me, I naturally won't allow anyone else to live here." Qin Feiyang smiled. Wang Yangfeng and the others also had a smile on their faces. From these words, it could be seen that the young master trusted them completely. Wang Yishan asked, "Then what is the young master's next plan?" Qin Feiyang lowered his head and pondered for a while. He suddenly waved his hand and Fatso appeared out of thin air. "What are you doing?" "Fat Lord is trying to break through to the 6-star Battle Saint realm," Fatso said unhappily. "Trying to break through to the 6-star Battle Saint realm?" Qin Feiyang was stunned and frowned. "Aren't you building the herb field?" "Yes. But not long ago, I suddenly felt that I was about to break through, so I prepared to break through in the village," Fatso said. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, "Let's put the matter of cultivation aside for now. You immediately take Elder Wang and the others to the spiritual state." "Why are we going to the spiritual state?" Fatso was puzzled. Qin Feiyang said, "The disappearance of Lin Yi and the mermaid princess can't be ignored like this. We must find out the results. Turns out to be for them." Fatso suddenly realized and frowned, but Uncle Yen also said that there are no clues about their disappearance. "How do we investigate?" Qin Feiyang said, "There must be something that we missed. You go and check carefully." "Boss, can you let someone else do it? Look at you now. You are already a 1-star battle emperor, and Fat Lord is still a 5-star battle saint. If this continues, Fat Lord will have no value at all. Fatso complained again and again. Qin Feiyong said helplessly, "Is there anyone who knows the situation of the spiritual state better than you?" "Yes. Brother Wolf, Lu Hong, Pangolin. They are all the first to follow you. They know everything that I know." Fatso said, "Okay. There is still a long way to go. There is plenty of time for cultivation. I'm letting you go now because I trust your brain," Qin Feiyong said. Fatso smiled and said, "So, boss also thinks that Fat Lord is smarter than Brother Wolf and the others?" Qin Feiyong nodded. He had never denied this point. Although Fatty could be a little annoying at times, he was never careless when it came to serious matters. He was definitely a person worth entrusting. Fatso smiled proudly and said, "Since boss said so, then Fat Lord will go." Qin Feiyong took out the space-time gate and handed it to Wang Yangfeng, and said, "When you go to the spiritual state, you have to listen to Fatso. Also keep a low profile." Wang Yangfeng and the others nodded. "Go." Qin Feiyong waved his hand. "Wait." Wang Yishan hurriedly said, "The Imperial Palace is full of danger. Should we leave a few people to protect you?" "It's okay. Lei Bao is here. Besides, there are seahorses and seals in the ancient tower, as well as those 9-star monarch beasts. They can all help me." Qin Feiyong smiled. "Okay then." Wang Yishan nodded. There was no shortage of powerhouses around the young master now. Boom! Wang Yangfeng waved his hand, and his battle aura surged, opening the space-time gate. Then the group walked in without looking back. After the space-time gate disappeared, a white-clothed young man in the temple disciple uniform suddenly appeared in the main hall. It was Lu Xingchen. "You finally came out." Qin Feiyong looked up at Lu Xingchen as if he already knew that Lu Xingchen was hiding here. He didn't look surprised at all. Lu Xingchen glanced around and sat next to Qin Feiyong. He shook his head and said, "Your return this time is really surprising." "Surprising?" Qin Feiyong froze and asked, "How so? Can you stop playing dumb? You're a smart person. How can you not know what I'm talking about?" Lu Xingchen frowned. "I really don't know," Qin Feiyong said. Lu Xingchen shook his head helplessly and said, "Okay then, I'll get straight to the point. What do you have on the National Master in the Sea of Reincarnation?" "Something on him?" Qin Feiyong shook his head and smiled. "The National Master is astute and astute. What can I have on him?" Seeing that Qin Feiyong didn't answer directly, Lu Xingchen couldn't help but become angry. He originally thought that the National Master would stop Qin Feiyong from returning this time. But he didn't expect that not only did the National Master not stop him, he even helped Qin Feiyong. He wouldn't believe that there was nothing fishy about it. Qin Feiyong's eyes flashed and he said with a smile, "I do have something on him. And it's a fatal one for the National Master." "What is it?" Lu Xingchen's eyes lit up and he asked anxiously. "Guess." Qin Feiyong said with a smile. "You..." Lu Xingchen suddenly got up and glared at Qin Feiyong. Was there a limit to keeping him in suspense? Qin Feiyong said, "Is there anything else? If not, I'm going to the temple." "The temple?" Lu Xingchen was stunned and asked, "Why are you going to the temple? Can I revisit an old place?" Qin Feiyong asked. "Of course. With your current strength, which place in the imperial capital can't you go?" Lu Xingchen said sourly. Qin Feiyong couldn't help but laugh. He opened a portal and strode in. Lu Xingchen's eyes flashed slightly and he followed in. Not long after Qin Feiyong left, the National Master brought Yin Wei to Bright Sky Palace. Yin Wei walked to the gate and shouted, "Qin Feiyong, the National Master has arrived. Please come out quickly to receive him." But after waiting for a long time, Qin Feiyong didn't appear, and no one responded to him. What's going on? Chapter 1296. He's really arrogant. The Imperial Preceptor secretly snorted and said, "Let's wait a little longer. It's not good to anger him now." There was no other way. Zhuge Shanfeng and Zhuge Mingyang were successively controlled by Qin Feiyong. He, the powerful Imperial Preceptor in the eyes of others, could only swallow his anger. Yes. Yin Wei responded respectfully. Ever since he clamored with Qin Feiyong in the First City District, the Imperial Preceptor began to take special care of him, There was even a tendency to nurture him as a trusted aide. After waiting for a while, seeing that Qin Feiyang still hadn't come out, the imperial preceptor finally lost his patience and said angrily, "You're going too far? Go in and take a look." Yanwei nodded and strode in. Soon. He hurriedly ran out again and looked at the imperial preceptor. "He's not inside." Not inside. The imperial preceptor was stunned. Had he waited for half a day in vain? A burst of anger rose uncontrollably in his heart. Killing intent flashed in his eyes, and he said in a deep voice, "I can't sit and wait for death like this." Yanwei's heart trembled and he asked, "Sir, what do you mean?" The imperial preceptor said, "Doesn't Qin Feiyang have a few good friends in the temple? Especially that woman called Ren Wushuang. Go and capture her." "That's not good. His Majesty personally ordered that no one is allowed to harm anyone related to him within these 10 years. Yanwei said, "Of course I know, but so what? As long as His Majesty doesn't know that we did it, isn't it fine?" The imperial preceptor said, "I understand. I'll do it right away. I guarantee that no one will know." Yanwei smiled sinisterly, opened the portal and left. The imperial preceptor looked at the bright heaven palace, sneered, and turned to leave. At the same time, the emperor's edict also spread in the imperial capital. Without a doubt, all the major cities were boiling. They didn't expect that the emperor would pardon Qin Feiyang. Good. Treasure Pavilion. Sun Dahai, who received the news, was overjoyed. Although Zhenbao Pavilion was also loyal to the emperor as a businessman, he was most concerned about profits. Now that Qin Feiyang was pardoned, it meant that in the future, his precious treasure pavilion would no longer have to worry about not having potential pills. Furthermore, he could no longer be secretive about auctioning the potential pill. Some were happy while others were sad. For example, those who once had a grudge with Qin Feiyang had a worried look on their faces. For example, Marquis Qianwu. Back then, Qin Feiyang had killed his son, Feng Yuan, and even caused a ruckus in the Marquis's estate. So he'd always harbored hatred towards Qin Feiyang. When he heard that Qin Feiyang had returned, he had wanted to meet the emperor to seek justice for him and avenge Feng Yuan. However, he didn't expect that. Before he could enter the imperial palace, the emperor's decree of pardon came down. This was tantamount to shattering his hopes. There was also Lin Dian's father, who was also a marquis. Back then, Lin Dian followed the 13th prince and plotted against Qin Feiyang at the Black Dragon Lake. In the end, he was killed by Qin Feiyang. Therefore, Lin Dian's father also bore a grudge against Qin Feiyang. But when he heard the decree of pardon, he knew that it was impossible to avenge Lin Dian. Forget about the fact that there was no hope of revenge. What made them even more worried now was that based on their previous grudges, Qin Feiyang might take the initiative to find trouble with them. If Qin Feiyang had come back alone, with the foundation and strength of a martial marquis, there would be nothing to worry about. But the key point was, this time Qin Feiyang had brought back more than a dozen 9-star combat emperors. Such a lineup was beyond their reach. So, now they were all very nervous. Temple. Look, isn't that Qin Feiyang? Didn't he go to the imperial palace? I heard that he destroyed the throne room again. What? Destroying the throne room once again? He's too bold. Isn't His Majesty going to do something about it? Do something about it? Tell me, what does His Majesty have to do about it? Could it be that he wants to gather the experts of the imperial palace and fight with him? That's not realistic. This will only hurt both sides. It won't benefit anyone. That's true. But now why did he come to the temple? The person beside him seems to be Lu Xingchen, right? The relationship between the two is indeed not ordinary. The disciples of the temple ran out one after another and discussed animatedly. Qin Feiyang saw all of this, but he didn't pay any attention to it. He silently walked in the air above the shrine, looking at everything that was familiar to him. The past involuntarily surfaced in his mind, as if it had just happened yesterday. After you left, there weren't many changes here. But seeing that you're back, those martial marquis disciples should be very nervous now. Lu Xingchen laughed. I'm not interested in them. Qin Feiyang said lightly. Then why did you return to the temple? Lu Xingchen frowned. Qin Feiyang said with a faint smile. I just wanted to come back for a walk and meet some old friends. Old friends? Lu Xingchen was slightly taken aback and whispered, "Speaking of this, I think of a few people." "Who?" Qin Feiyang asked. Lu Xingchen said, "Didn't I tell you last time that Ling Yu Feng ran Luodan, and Zhao Yu disappeared inexplicably? And now, Tan Wu and Dong Zhengyang are also missing." Qin Feiyang was shocked and stopped in his tracks. He turned to look at Lu Xingchen and frowned. "When did this happen?" "Just after you picked up Ren Wushuang and Old Master Ren," Lu Xingchen said. Qin Feiyang said, "You know that Ren Wushuang and Old Master Ren were picked up by me?" "Shun Mei told me," Lu Xingchen said. "This silly woman." Qin Feiyang sighed inwardly and took a step forward. As he walked, he lowered his head and pondered. Tan Wu's disappearance, without thinking, was definitely related to Uncle Yuan. But Dong Zhengyang's disappearance made him somewhat puzzled. At that time in the Sea of Reincarnation, Dong Zhengyang accompanied Ren Wushuang to visit him. He also sincerely urged Dong Zhengyang to stay, but Dong Zhengyang did not stay. At that time, he thought that Dong Zhengyang did not want to stay by his side because of the complicated relationship between them. But now it seemed that this was not the case. Wait a minute. It couldn't be related to Uncle Yuan, right? He remembered that Tan Wu said in the Magic Dragon Mountain range that Uncle Yuan had been helping him cultivate a force. Could this Dong Zhengyang also be the target of Uncle Yuan's training? But it shouldn't be. Uncle Yuan should be clear about the grudge between Dong Zhengyang and him. Moreover, if Dong Zhengyang really followed Uncle Yuan, then why didn't Dong Zhengyang directly tell him? It was not like that. Dong Zhengyang's disappearance had nothing to do with Uncle Yuan. Very soon, Qin Feiyang rejected the previous idea. Because Dong Zhengyang knew about his relationship with Uncle Yuan, and with Dong Zhengyang's character and arrogance, he would rather die than submit to Uncle Yuan. It seems that this person is also full of secrets. Qin Feiyang muttered, exhaled a long breath and asked, "Then what about Feng Wuxia, Xuening and Shuoro, that pair of sisters? They're also gone." Lu Xingchen said, "Interesting. The people who entered the imperial capital together with me, except for you and me, are all gone now. Do you think this is a coincidence?" Qin Feiyang asked with a smile. "Who knows?" Lu Xingchen shrugged. "That's right, who knows? But in this case, I don't have any old friends here. There's no need to go any further, let's go back." Qin Feiyang shook his head with a smile, opened the portal and was about to walk in. Lu Xingchen said, "Why are you going back so early? I'll take you to a place I guarantee it will interest you." "What place?" Qin Feiyang asked curiously. "The War God Temple," Lu Xingchen said. "Not interested." Qin Feiyang was disinterested when he heard it. Lu Xingchen said with a smile, "What about the billboard list? Are you interested?" "Billboard list?" Qin Feiyang frowned. "You were born in the imperial capital, so you should know about the billboard list of the War God Temple. Only the top 10 of the War God Temple are qualified to be on the billboard list. As for Zhuge Mingyang, he's only ranked 9th on the Wind Cloud ranking," Lu Xingchen said. "What?" Qin Feiyang turned to Lu Xingchen and said in surprise, "With Zhuge Mingyang's strength, he's only ranked 9th? Are you sure you're not joking with me?" "Is there a need for me to joke with you? Since the establishment of the Great Qin Empire, how many monstrous geniuses have been born? Most of them are in the War God Temple now. It's no exaggeration to say that if it weren't for some people looking down on the billboard list, Zhuge Mingyang wouldn't even be qualified to be on the billboard list," Lu Xingchen said. "In that case, the War God Temple is a place with crouching tigers and hidden dragons," Qin Feiyang muttered. "That's right." Lu Xingchen nodded and asked, "So, are you interested now?" "A little," Qin Feiyang said. "Just a little?" Lu Xingchen muttered. "Buzz." This time, Qin Feiyang suddenly felt that the image crystal was moving. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed as he turned to Lu Xingchen and said, "I have something to do, I'll leave first." Swish. Without waiting for Lu Xingchen to react, Qin Feiyang went to the ancient castle and took out the image crystal. Yin Wei's shadow immediately appeared. "What's wrong?" Qin Feiyang asked. Yin Wei said in a deep voice, "The Imperial Preceptor asked me to catch Ren Wushuang and the others." Qin Feiyang sneered, "This old thing really doesn't stop at all, but I'm afraid he'll be disappointed. Ren Wushuang is by my side now." "I know, but this is my best chance to get close to him. Think about it, if I really bring Ren Wushuang to him, what will he do? He will definitely put me in an important position. Yin Wei said. That's true. Qin Feiyong nodded, lowered his head and pondered for a while, then looked at Yin Wei and said, however, I can't let Ren Wushuang take the risk. Then won't I have to return empty-handed? Yin Wei frowned. No. I thought of someone. Qin Feiyong said, his eyes flashing. Who? Yin Wei asked. Xunmei. Qin Feiyong said. Her. Isn't she Ren Wushuang's friend? Will Ren Wushuang blame you for doing this? Yin Wei frowned. I'm doing this for Xunmei's sake. Because I want to test whether Lu Xingchen really likes Xunmei. If he does, he will definitely try to rescue Xunmei. And with his ability, it's easy for him to rescue Xunmei. Besides, don't we have you? When the time comes, we can cooperate from the inside and outside. Xunmei's life will not be in danger. Qin Feiyong said. I see. Yin Wei suddenly understood and said with a smile, okay. I'll go find her right away. Okay. Chapter 1297. With the help of Dan Wangkai, Wang Xiaojie had already embarked on the path of cultivation. In a short period of time, he had already broken through to become a 6-star martial artist. It could be seen that his talent was extraordinary. Of course, the biggest credit was still the elixirs. The body-tempering elixirs that Dan Wangkai refined basically had 4 or 5 patterns. The effect was naturally incomparable to ordinary body-tempering elixirs. At this very moment, Wang Xiaojie was sitting on the ground, reading a manual attentively. This manual recorded Dan Wangkai's understanding and experience in alchemy. One had to know. Dan Wangkai was the #1 alchemist in Qinghai. Even in the entire Forgotten Continent and the Great Qin Empire, he was a demon-level existence. It was not an exaggeration to say that in terms of alchemy attainments, Qin Feiyong was not necessarily much better than him. This was because Dan Wangkai was an alchemy maniac. He could be without extraordinary abilities or huge power, but he could not be without elixirs. Therefore Dan Wangkai's understanding and experience was simply a huge treasure to Wang Xiaojie. He would benefit from it for the rest of his life. It could be said that Wang Xiaojie's current cultivation conditions were countless times better than Qin Feiyong's in the past. His starting point was higher than his peers. Feiyong. Suddenly Yin Nanshan, Luo Qianxue and Lu Ji woke up from their cultivation. They got up and looked at Qin Feiyong. Uncle Yan, Auntie Xue, Auntie. Qin Feiyong bowed to them one by one. These 3 were the elders that he respected the most. Especially Luo Qianxue and Lu Ji. Besides respecting them, he felt guilty and blamed himself in his heart. Lu Ji stepped forward and grabbed Qin Feiyong's hand. She smiled and said, Feiyong, there's something that I want to discuss with you. Auntie, please go ahead. Qin Feiyong smiled and said, look, we're already at this age. We feel that there's no point in cultivating. We might as well enjoy life. Therefore, we've decided to go to your ancient pagoda and spend the rest of our lives with Old Master Ran and the villagers. Lu Ji smiled and said, yeah, right now it's the world of you young people. Us old fellows can't interfere at all. Instead of making you worry and dragging you down, it's better to go to the castle and enjoy the rest of my life. Yin Nanshan and Luo Qianxue also nodded and smiled. Thank you, Uncle Yan. Thank you, Aunt Xue. Thank you, Auntie. Qin Feiyong looked at the 3 of them gratefully and bowed deeply. The 3 of them had made this decision out of consideration for him. Because in this way, he wouldn't have any worries and could boldly wander the outside world. Silly child, we should be the ones thanking you. If it weren't for you taking care of us all these years, I'm afraid we would have already turned into a pile of yellow soil. How could we still have the peaceful life we have now? The 3 shook their heads and laughed. Qin Feiyong said, although you are not my parents, I still regard you as my parents, so this is what I should do. The 3 of them smiled at each other. Yin Nanshan smiled and said, we are already very satisfied that you have such intentions. All right, send us to the ancient pagoda. To be honest, we are very curious about that place. Okay. Qin Feiyong nodded and personally led the 3 of them to the ancient pagoda. It's so big. Looking at the endless mountains and rivers, the 3 of them were immediately dumbfounded. A space divine item actually had such a large space? Qin Feiyong smiled and said, When I first saw it, I was also very surprised. You're here. At this moment, Lu Hong flew up and greeted Qin Feiyang with a smile. Then she looked at Yan Nanshan and the other two and bowed. Uncle Yan, Aunt Shui, Aunt Luji. Yan Nanshan smiled and said, Little girl, you're getting more and more beautiful. Lu Hong blushed. Yan Nanshan shook his head and smiled. It must be very tiring to build the herb field. Later we will all stay to help you. This? Lu Hong was stunned and looked at Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, The three of you will stay here to enjoy the rest of your life. What elderly? Do you know how to talk? Are we very old? Luo Qianxue pretended to be angry. Qin Feiyang was stunned and hurriedly waved his hand. Not old, not old. With your looks and energy, even though 17 or 18-year-old young people can't compare. Nonsense. The three of them rolled their eyes, but their faces were full of smiles. Yan Nanshan waved his hand and said, Okay, go do your work. We will help to take care of the herb field. Then I'll have to trouble you. Qin Feiyang smiled and looked at Lu Hong. Where are you going to build the herb field? Just outside the village. I'm mainly thinking about the people in the village. It will be more convenient for them when they need herbs. Lu Hong said. Okay. Qin Feiyang nodded and took out the tree of creation and the divine infant tree. He said, I originally planned to plant the tree of creation in the village, but since you built the herb field outside the village, then I will plant it in the herb field. As long as the tree of creation was not sealed, the energy it emitted was enough to radiate tens of thousands of miles away. Moreover, as the tree of creation continued to grow, the area it radiated would also increase. Therefore, even if it was not planted in the village, the people in the village could also enjoy the benefits of the tree of creation. He was also looking forward to how many geniuses would be born here in the future. Okay. Lu Hong took the tree of creation and the divine infant tree. Right, there's also this. Qin Feiyang waved his hand and an ice sculpture appeared. It was Zhuge Shenfeng. Why did you bring him here? Even if Zhuge Shenfeng was in a self-sealing state, Lu Hong could not help but feel nervous. Qin Feiyang said, The space in the ancient castle is too small. Takes up space. Then where are we going to put him now? In the village? Of course not. There are so many children in the village. What if we accidentally wake him up? Lu Hong was worried. Definitely not in the village. Qin Feiyang shook his head and pondered for a while. He said, later, take him to the forbidden area of the cemetery. There is a black panther guarding it. The children in the village can't get close. Okay. Lu Hong nodded. Okay, then you guys go ahead. Qin Feiyang smiled and left the ancient tower, appearing in the sky above the temple. He has appeared again. Although he used to be a disciple of the temple, he is no longer one. But he still dares to do whatever he wants in the temple. This guy's courage is really not something ordinary people can compare to. Don't worry, he won't be proud for long. Because Zhuge Mingyang will not let this go. Although Zhuge Mingyang is not his opponent, don't forget that there are many people in the War God Temple who have a close relationship with Zhuge Mingyang. The disciples below whispered, their eyes full of sneers, Where is Lu Xingqian? At the same time, Qin Feiyang scanned the void suspiciously. Why was Lu Xingqian missing? He couldn't have received the news that Shen Mei had been kidnapped so quickly, right? Just as he was about to open the portal and leave, Lu Xingqian appeared out of thin air and frowned. What are you busy with? I've been waiting for you for so long. Qin Feiyang said calmly, I want to ask you the same thing. Where did you go just now? Lu Xingqian's eyes flashed slightly, and he smiled faintly. I had something to do, so I went back to the alchemy room. I see. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, Let's go, we haven't drunk together in a long time. Let's go to the fragrant moon pavilion and have a few drinks. Lu Xingqian was stunned and asked, Aren't we going to the War God Temple? Why are we going to the War God Temple? Qin Feiyang was puzzled. Lu Xingqian frowned and said, There are so many experts in the War God Temple. Aren't you interested at all? It's their business if they are strong. As long as they don't provoke me, why should I care about them? Wait. Why do I feel that something is wrong? From the beginning, you've been urging me to go to the War God Temple. Tell me honestly, are you plotting something again? Qin Feiyang looked coldly at Lu Xingchen. Am I? Lu Xingchen asked calmly. Stop pretending. How many years have we known each other? Do you think I don't know what you're thinking? Qin Feiyang looked at him with disdain. Then tell me, what am I thinking right now? Lu Xingchen joked. The War God Temple is filled with experts and can be considered the cornerstone of the great Qin Empire. If I'm not wrong, you're urging me to go to the War God Temple because you want me to find out how deep the War God Temple's waters are. There's a good saying, know yourself and know your enemy, and you'll be victorious in 100 battles. Knowing the true foundation of the War God Temple, you'll be able to make sufficient preparations in advance when you want to destroy the great Qin Empire. Qin Feiyang said. Brother Qin, you're really smart. Lu Xingchen shook his head and smiled. That's right, that's what I'm thinking. It would be best if you can kill some monsters while you're at it. Qin Feiyang said, so tell me, why should I do something that harms others without benefiting myself? How can this be called harming others without benefiting yourself? You and the Emperor will meet on the battlefield sooner or later. At that time, these people will be your biggest obstacles. So, if you can get rid of some of them now, it will definitely be beneficial for you in the future. Lu Xingchen said. That seems to make sense. Qin Feiyang nodded. Then shall we go now? Lu Xingchen was overjoyed and asked with a smile. No. Qin Feiyang shook his head. If it makes sense, then why not? The smile on Lu Xingchen's face froze as he asked in confusion. Qin Feiyang smiled playfully and asked, who said that I have to go if it makes sense? Lu Xingchen's face twitched fiercely. This bastard, why doesn't he play by the rules? There's still a long way to go. We'll talk about the War God Temple later. It's rare that I'm in the mood today. Let's go and have a few drinks. Qin Feiyang opened the portal and dragged Lu Xingchen toward it. Okay, I can walk by myself. I really have to hand it to you. I don't know what you're thinking. Lu Xingchen looked at him helplessly and entered the portal. Qin Feiyang, I'll wait for you at the War God Temple. Come and fight with me quickly. But at this moment, a loud voice rolled out from the depths of the temple like thunder. Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows and turned to look into the depths of the temple. Lu Xingchen smiled and immediately exited the portal. Standing beside Qin Feiyang, he looked into the depths of the temple and said with a smile, it seems that someone doesn't want you to leave. Is that so? Chapter 1298. The people from the War God Temple are so fast. I wonder who it is that is challenging Qin Feiyang? Do you think Qin Feiyang will accept the challenge? Is there a need to ask? With his arrogant personality, he will definitely accept the challenge. The disciples below were in an uproar. Looking at Qin Feiyang, the schadenfreude in his eyes was undisguised. Although Qin Feiyang had brought many experts with him, Qin Feiyang's cultivation was only a one-star combat emperor. In the War God Temple, a one-star combat emperor was nothing. Even if he defeated Zhuge Mingyang, there were countless people who were stronger than Zhuge Mingyang in the War God Temple. Lu Xingchen smiled and said, Brother Qin, this person is so arrogant. How can we tolerate it? Then, do you know who the person who's shouting is? Qin Feiyang asked. Lu Xingchen pondered and said, judging from his voice, it seems to be Zhuge Jinghong, ranked 10th on the Fengyun list. Zhuge Jinghong? Qin Feiyang frowned. Lu Xingchen said, you might not be familiar with this Zhuge Jinghong, but if we are talking about Zhuge Nanhua, then you definitely know him. Zhuge Nanhua. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed coldly. Of course he knew this Zhuge Nanhua. Not only was he the confidant of the imperial master, he was also Zhuge Mingyang's great-grandfather. Now, he was guarding the pagoda on behalf of Old Man Qin, guarding the teleportation altar. Qin Feiyang asked suspiciously, what is the relationship between Zhuge Jinghong and Zhuge Nanhua? Zhuge Jinghong is Zhuge Nanhua's adopted son. It is said that his background is very miserable, but he is very talented. Under Zhuge Nanhua's nurturing, he is now an 8-star combat emperor. Lu Xingchen said. 8-star combat emperor. Qin Feiyang's eyes trembled as he frowned and said, since he is an 8-star combat emperor, he must be stronger than Zhuge Mingyang. However, why is he ranked behind Zhuge Mingyang? Do you still need to ask? Of course it's to take care of Zhuge Mingyang. After all, he is the genius of the Zhuge family. Lu Xingchen said. Will the others agree to Zhuge Mingyang dominating the billboard? Qin Feiyang frowned. You still don't know, right? Half of the people on the billboard are from the Zhuge clan. Zhuge Xingfeng, who is ranked number 1, has even reached the 9-star combat emperor realm. It is said that he is the number 1 person in the war god temple. Say, with Zhuge Xingfeng here, who would dare to touch Zhuge Mingyang? Lu Xingchen sneered. Zhuge Xingfeng, Qin Feiyang murmured. He did not expect the Zhuge family to be so powerful. What do you think? Are you interested now? Lu Xingchen asked. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, being interested is one thing, going or not is another. Come drink with me first. Drink? Lu Xingchen raised his eyebrows. Zhuge Xingfeng had openly issued a challenge, yet he did not accept it? Has this guy changed his personality? Qin Feiyang, don't be a coward. I will wait for you at the fighting arena. Zhuge Jinghong's voice boomed once again, filled with an insufferably arrogant tone. Brother Qin, he has already said so. Can you still bear it? Lu Xingchen said. Qin Feiyang sighed helplessly and said, even if I can't bear it, I have to. After all, you said that he is an 8-star combat emperor. How can I, a mere 1-star combat emperor, be his opponent? Brother Qin, it's meaningless to pretend like this. Lu Xingchen frowned and said, how am I pretending? This is the truth. Bear with it for a while and the wind will be calm. Take a step back and the sky will be clear. Let's go drink. Qin Feiyang opened another teleportation door and forcefully dragged Lu Xingchen in. Actually, his thoughts were very simple. Lu Xingchen wanted him to go, so he would not go. As for Zhuge Jinghong's clamor, he did not take it to heart at all. If you want to shout, then shout. Who has the ability to ignore you? This was actually a change in his state of mind. If it was in the past, in the face of such aggressive clamor, he would definitely not let it go. But now, he already had an indifferent attitude. Because in his eyes, his current opponents were the imperial tutor, the Emperor Mu Tianyang, the chief pagoda master, these supreme rulers. To put it in an arrogant way, now, only these people could enter his eyes and make him treat them seriously. He left just like that? What the hell is this? I thought he was very powerful, but it turns out that he is just a weakling. It seems that we have all overestimated him. If not for those 9-star combat emperors helping him, what is he? When the disciples below saw Qin Feiyang open the teleportation door and leave, they could not help but mock him. War God Shrine. In the sky above a battle arena, a black-clothed youth stood proudly. His hands were behind his back, his long hair draped over his shoulders as he looked disdainfully at the sky. His 2 thick eyebrows were like sharp swords, emitting a shocking sharpness. That's right. This person was Zhuge Jinghong. The battle arena below was also filled with a sea of people. They were also disciples of the war god Shrine, and the lowest cultivation was a battle sage. There were even a bunch of combat emperors. Do you guys think that Qin Feiyang will come? Don't worry, this person is arrogant. Facing senior brother Jinghong's challenge, he will definitely come. When he comes, there will be a good show to watch. Everyone was discussing, their eyes filled with playfulness and anticipation. Whoosh! Suddenly, a ray of light streaked across the sky and landed in front of Zhuge Jinghong. It was a short black-clothed man. Looking at Zhuge Jinghong, his face was full of respect. Xia Chongjin, is Qin Feiyang here? Someone below immediately asked loudly. Zhuge Jinghong also retracted his gaze and looked at the short man. Xia Chongjin glanced at the people below, looked at Zhuge Jinghong, and shook his head. He didn't come. He didn't come? Everyone was shocked. This was really out of his expectations. Why didn't he come? Is he looking down on me? Zhuge Jinghong's face darkened as he asked. He is just a 1-star combat emperor. How dare he look down on you, senior brother Jinghong? Xia Chongjin smiled disdainfully and said, he knows that he is not your opponent, so he doesn't dare to accept the challenge. Haha, he knows his own limits. Zhuge Jinghong smiled proudly and asked, then where is he now? Xia Chongjin said, he went to the fragrant moon brothel with Lu Xingchen. I think they went to drink. What a good-for-nothing. Zhuge Jinghong sneered, and the disdain on his face became even stronger. He said, Does he think that he can escape this calamity by going to the fragrant moon brothel? Get me a brush and ink. Xia Chongjin hurriedly took out a brush, ink, paper and inkstone and placed them in the air. Zhuge Jinghong waved his hand, and the brush landed in his hand. Then he quickly wrote, and two bold words appeared on the paper. Trash. TSK TSK TSK. Senior brother Jinghong is really domineering. He directly sent the two words Qin Feiyang. When he sees these two words, his expression will definitely be very interesting. The people below all laughed loudly. Zhuge Jinghong's face was also full of ridicule. He looked at Xia Chongjin and said, immediately send this to Qin Feiyang. You must send it into his hands. Also, tell him that if he is not convinced he can challenge me, I, Zhuge Jinghong, will always respect him. Understood. Xia Chongjin smiled, folded the paper, and opened the portal and left. At the same time, in front of a courtyard, Yin Wei appeared out of thin air while holding a girl. The girl was Shan Mei. After all these years, she had become more mature and charming. However, she was currently unconscious. Lord, I have returned. Yin Wei looked at the pavilion in the courtyard and said respectfully, come in. The imperial tutor's voice came from inside. Yin Wei pushed open the door and entered. He walked to the front of the pavilion and pushed open the door. He saw the imperial tutor sitting alone beside the tea table in the hall. Yin Wei walked in with Shan Mei in his arms. Well done. The imperial tutor smiled. Then, he looked at Shan Mei and frowned. He asked suspiciously, who is she? Didn't I ask you to capture Ren Wushuang? Why is she an unrelated person? I am incompetent. I couldn't find Ren Wushuang. Yin Wei's gaze trembled. He quickly put down Shan Mei and said in fear, why couldn't you find her? The imperial tutor raised his eyebrows. According to my investigation, Ren Wushuang went missing a few days ago. Her grandfather also went missing. This subordinate is thinking that it might be because Milord kidnapped Qin Feiyang's mother last time, causing Qin Feiyang to become alert and take them away. Yin Wei said calmly, that damn little bastard. He is really difficult to deal with. The imperial tutor snorted and looked at Shan Mei. Then who is she? Yin Wei said, her name is Shan Mei. According to my investigation, she has a good relationship with Qin Feiyang. Most importantly, she and Ren Wushuang are like sisters. Like sisters? Since they are so close, why didn't Qin Feiyang take her away with Ren Wushuang? The imperial tutor frowned. This should be her personal reason. I don't know. Yin Wei said. The imperial tutor looked at Shan Mei and pondered for a while. Well, it's better than nothing. Go find Qin Feiyang immediately and tell him that this woman is in our hands. See his reaction. If he has a big reaction, it means that he really cares about this woman. Okay. Yin Wei nodded and immediately opened the portal and walked in. First District. Fragrant Moon Brothel. Young Master Qin, you just came back and you came to our Fragrant Moon Brothel to play. We are really flattered. Come in, please. Seeing Qin Feiyang and Lu Xingchen enter the hall, two waiters hurried to greet them with flattering smiles. Qin Feiyang. Why did he come to the Fragrant Moon Brothel again? I just received news that he went to the Divine Palace. Hearing the voices of the two waiters, the guests in the hall all put down their bowls, chopsticks, and wine glasses in their hands and turned to look at Qin Feiyang, their eyes full of suspicion. Qin Feiyang stood in front of the door, glanced at the crowd, and said with a smile, I hope I didn't ruin everyone's mood. No. It's our honor to be able to eat and drink in the same place as young Master Qin, don't you think so? Yes. Everyone nodded and flattered. Qin Feiyang shook his head and smiled. He looked at the two waiters and said, arrange a quiet place for me, and bring me 2 pots of the best wine in your store. I want to properly entertain this good brother of mine. Good brother. Everyone's heart trembled. Looking at Lu Xingchen next to Qin Feiyang, their pupils contracted slightly. They didn't expect Lu Xingchen and Qin Feiyang to be so close. Some people even had envy in their eyes. Chapter 1299. A quiet place can only be the private rooms upstairs. I will arrange one for the 2 young masters. A waiter smiled. Qin Feiyang hurriedly waved his hand and said, No, we'll just sit in the hall. It's a little quiet. The two waiters looked at each other. Although the cost of the private room was higher than that of the hall, was Qin Feiyong a person short of money? Obviously not. Then why did he have to sit in the hall? But the two didn't dare to ask. Glancing around the hall, they found an empty table in the left corner. Let's sit there. It's in the corner. It's relatively quiet. What do you think, young Master Qin? The two waiters looked at Qin Feiyong and asked. Okay. Qin Feiyong nodded. Then please. One of the waiters led Qin Feiyong to the table and said with a smile, I'll bring the food and wine to you right away. Please wait a moment. Okay. Qin Feiyong said. The waiter smiled, turned around and ran away. Let's continue. Don't be so reserved. Qin Feiyong looked at the people in the hall and said with a smile. Then he sat down on a chair, pointed to the chair opposite him, and said with a smile, Brother Lu, please sit down. Lu Xingchen glanced at Qin Feiyong, walked to the opposite of Qin Feiyong, and sat down, glancing at the people around. Although those people were minding their own business and eating and drinking, they would glance at him from time to time. That kind of strange look made him very uncomfortable. Phew. He took a deep breath, looked up at Qin Feiyong, and said with a rather gloomy face, Is this the purpose of you bringing me to Fragrant Moon House? Purpose? Qin Feiyong was stunned and puzzled. What do you mean? I just asked you to accompany me to drink. What purpose can I have? Pretend, keep pretending. Lu Xingchen snorted coldly. Why should I pretend? Qin Feiyong became more and more puzzled. Lu Xingchen said angrily, Then let me ask you, why did you say that I'm your good brother in front of everyone? Are we not on good terms? Qin Feiyong asked. Do you think we're close enough to call each other brothers? Lu Xingchen was getting angrier and angrier. It's not that good, but what's wrong with me saying that? Qin Feiyong was suspicious. Nonsense. Of course not. What's your situation now? The imperial advisor, the emperor, and the Zhuge family are all trying to deal with you. But they can't do anything to you because you have someone protecting you. What about them? You can only start with those who are close to you. And now you're publicly declaring that I'm your good brother. Aren't you clearly trying to drag me down with you? Lu Xingchen was furious. This guy was really insidious and cunning. If he was not careful, he would be tricked to death by him. Qin Feiyong's eyes flashed with a smile. He shook his head and said, Your imagination is too rich. In fact, it's not as complicated as you think. I just want to treat you to a few drinks. Don't talk nonsense. You think I don't know who Qin Feiyong is? You're not having a good time now, and you don't want me to have a good time either. Lu Xingchen snorted coldly. Young masters, the dishes are here. At this time, the waiter ran over with a few dishes, 2 pots of wine and 2 wine glasses. After putting them on the table, he hurriedly ran away. Qin Feiyong chuckled, picked up the wine pot, and filled the 2 wine glasses. Then, he put down the wine pot, grabbed a wine glass, and handed it to Lu Xingchen. He said with a smile, Don't be like this. Even if the imperial advisor wants to deal with you with your ability, what are you afraid of? So you admit it? Lu Xingchen sneered. If you insist on thinking like this, then wouldn't it be the same if I didn't admit it? Qin Feiyong said. Phew. Lu Xingchen let out a long breath, took the wine glass and said, This time you're better, I admit defeat. Look at what you're saying, it's as if I've taken advantage of you. Qin Feiyong shook his head and smiled helplessly. He picked up the wine glass on the table and said, How about this? If you really can't let it go, then I'll solemnly apologize to you and punish myself with 3 cups. After that, he raised his head and drank it all. Lu Xingchen rolled his eyes. He held the wine glass to the tip of his nose and sniffed it. He was about to drink it. But at this moment, a cold shout sounded at the entrance. Where is Qin Feiyong? He saw a short man in black standing at the entrance, arrogantly scanning the hall. It was Xia Chongjin. Lu Xingchen frowned. He put down the wine glass and turned his head. When he saw Xia Chongjin, his eyes immediately became playful. Qin Feiyong and the other guests in the hall also looked at Xia Chongjin with a trace of suspicion in their eyes. Young master, what brings you here? A waiter ran in front of Xia Chongjin and asked. Xia Chongjin said proudly, I'm Xia Chongjin, a disciple of the War God Temple. I'm here to find Qin Feiyang. Where is he? A disciple of the War God Temple. The waiter's pupils shrank. His expression immediately became respectful. He pointed at the corner where Qin Feiyang was and said, Young Master Qin is there. Xia Chongjin looked at Qin Feiyang with a trace of disdain in his eyes. Then he strode towards Qin Feiyang. Why is a disciple of the War God Temple looking for Qin Feiyang? Everyone muttered in their hearts. As for Qin Feiyang, when he heard that this person was from the War God Temple, he immediately looked away. He poured himself a glass of wine and leisurely savored it. This person was only a one-star combat emperor. He was not worthy of his attention. Xia Chongjin walked in front of Qin Feiyang. When he saw Qin Feiyang's calm and leisurely appearance, the disdain on his face became even stronger. Is he really so calm that he doesn't dare to accept the challenge? He took out the folded paper from his bosom and slapped it on the table. He sneered. This is a big gift from senior brother Zhuge Jinghong. Qin Feiyang suddenly smiled. He looked at Lu Xingchen and said, I was wondering who it was. Turns out it's just a lackey who ran away. Lu Xingchen also laughed. From the beginning to the end, the two of them did not even look at Xia Chongjin properly. That disdainful attitude and those sarcastic words made Xia Chongjin furious. He shouted, You better watch your words. Qin Feiyang still ignored him. He looked at Lu Xingchen and said with a smile, Brother Lu, whose kitten and puppy did not tie up properly and came to disturb us while we were drinking? Didn't he say that he came to deliver the gift on behalf of Zhuge Jinghong? Then he must be from the Zhuge family. Lu Xingchen said with a smile. I see. Birds of a feather flock together. Qin Feiyang suddenly understood and said with a smile. The faces of the guests and waiters in the hall turned red. These two are really good. They don't even use vulgarities when cursing. However, Xia Chongjin was about to explode in anger. He slapped away the wine glasses in Qin Feiyang's hands and shouted, I dare you to say that again. Qin Feiyang's and Lu Xingchen's faces immediately darkened. They turned to look at Xia Chongjin. Their cold eyes made Xia Chongjin's body tremble. An indescribable fear emerged in his heart. However, when he thought of Zhuge Jinghong behind him, he became more confident. What? Do you dare to touch me? Let me tell you, I came to deliver the gift on behalf of Senior Zhuge Jinghong. If you dare to touch a single hair on my head, Senior Zhuge Jinghong will not let you off. I think that with Senior Zhuge Jinghong's status in the War God Shrine, I should tell you. His ranking on the War God Shrine's Wind God ranking list is, Xia Chongjin was full of himself. However, before he could finish speaking, Qin Feiyang suddenly stood up and grabbed his neck. He said with a smile, I really don't know what gave you the courage to bare your fangs and brandish your claws in front of me. After he finished speaking, he waved his hand. The two of them released their battle chi and directly cut off Xia Chongjin's arms. The piercing pain made Xia Chongjin howl in pain. Blood spurted out from his shoulder like a fountain. Since you want to be a dog, then you should have the awareness of being a dog. Don't provoke someone you can't afford to provoke. Qin Feiyang waved his hand again. A wisp of battle chi entered Xia Chongjin's lower abdomen, shattering his sea of chi. Cutting off his arms and destroying his sea of chi. This person is indeed cruel. We can't afford to provoke him. The pupils of the people in the hall shrunk. They were terrified. Lu Xingchen looked at Xia Chongjin and laughed. Look, giving a gift is a good thing, but you forced Brother Qin to make a move. Are you satisfied now? Xia Chongjin was scared out of his wits. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly and released his 5 fingers. With a bang, Xia Chongjin fell to the ground. His face was distorted from the pain. His blood also flowed to the ground. It was a shocking sight. Qin Feiyang returned to his seat, grabbed the piece of paper and opened it. His eyes immediately flashed with killing intent. What's written on the paper? Everyone couldn't help but stand up and look around curiously. I saw it. The word trash is written on it. This Zhuge Jinghong actually gave him those 2 words. He's obviously looking for trouble. Everyone's heart trembled. This was forcing Qin Feiyang to make a move. Lu Xingchen looked at the 2 words on the paper and laughed. Brother Qin, you can't take it anymore, right? Haha. Qin Feiyang laughed loudly, and his expression was filled with a wisp of viciousness. Crack. He clenched his big hand and the paper immediately turned into ashes. Then he looked down at Xia Chongjin and laughed. Go back and tell Zhuge Jinghong to stop playing such childish tricks. This will only make him look more childish and stupid. Yes, yes, yes. I'll definitely pass on the message. Xia Chongjin nodded repeatedly. Then get lost, Qin Feiyang said. Xia Chongjin hurriedly got up and ran outside. However, when he turned around, his eyes were filled with hatred. Is there something wrong with your ears? Didn't you hear me tell you to get lost? Qin Feiyang said indifferently. Xia Chongjin's body trembled. He turned to look at Qin Feiyang and said, Aren't I going to leave immediately? Lu Xingchen laughed. Looks like you didn't understand Brother Qin's meaning. He told you to get lost, not walk. Get lost? Xia Chongjin was stunned. After all, he was a disciple of the Temple of War. If he was told to get lost in front of everyone, how could he face others in the future? I've changed my mind. Don't you like being a dog? Now crawl out. While crawling you have to bark like a dog. At that time in the first district, Yin Wei was following beside the state preceptor, and many people saw it. Xia Chongjin also knew. After all, Yin Wei had challenged Qin Feiyang in front of countless people. He was now considered a celebrity in the city. As such, seeing that it was Yin Wei, Xia Chongjin could only swallow his anger. What did you say just now? I'm looking for death? Do you know who I am? However, Yin Wei did not want to let Xia Chongjin off. He sneered. No, this is a misunderstanding. Xia Chongjin hurriedly shook his head. Misunderstanding? I'm a law enforcer of the Law Enforcement Hall, but I was insulted by a disciple in public. If this were to spread, wouldn't I become a joke? Yin Wei yelled angrily. You're a law enforcer? Xia Chongjin's expression changed. Yin Wei directly took out the law enforcer token. This disciple has eyes but failed to see. Please forgive me. Xia Chongjin shivered and knelt on the ground to beg for mercy. The law enforcers in the Divine Hall were like the god of death. The disciples basically stayed away from them. Sigh. Looking at this scene, the people in the hall could not help but sigh in their hearts. He had just been severely humiliated by Qin Feiyang, and now bumped into the muzzle of a law enforcer. One had to admit that this guy was really unlucky. You better be careful next time. Yin Wei snorted coldly and said expressionlessly, Get lost. Yes. Xia Chongjin hurriedly got up. I'm asking you to get lost. Yin Wei yelled and raised his hand to slap Xia Chongjin's face. With a scream, Xia Chongjin immediately flew out and smashed into the street below. I'll get lost immediately. However, he did not dare to complain at all. He hurriedly curled up into a ball and rolled on the street like a rubber ball. What's going on? Is there something wrong with this guy's brain? Why is he rolling on the ground? Those who did not know what was going on could not help but be dumbfounded when they saw this scene. Yin Wei smiled disdainfully. He tidied his clothes and turned to enter the fragrant moon house. Welcome, my lord. A few waiters went up to greet him respectfully. Yin Wei said coldly, I'm looking for Qin Feiyang. You can go back to your work. He's looking for Qin Feiyang again? When everyone heard this, they could not help but turn to look at Qin Feiyang. This guy was really a jinx. As soon as he came back, he caused a storm in the city. It was difficult to calm down. Law enforcer. Lu Xingchen looked at Yin Wei and his eyes flashed slightly. Then, he looked at Qin Feiyang and said telepathically, Why is he looking for you? He did not know that this law enforcer was Yin Wei. It's definitely not something good. Qin Feiyang snorted coldly. Yin Wei strode to the table and glanced at Lu Xingchen. Then he looked at Qin Feiyang and said, Is it convenient for you to talk? Qin Feiyang said indifferently, If you have anything to say, just say it. After you're done, get lost. Don't hinder us from drinking. Everyone was stunned. He dared to be so arrogant in front of a law enforcer. As expected of Qin Feiyang, Yin Wei's eyes surged with a cold light. He did not hide it. Say it. Do you want to crawl out like Xia Chongjin? Qin Feiyang said impatiently. Kid, don't be too arrogant. Yin Wei smiled coldly, leaned in front of Qin Feiyang and whispered, Do you know Shen Mei? She's in our hands now. He did not transmit his voice, but his voice was very soft. Only Qin Feiyang and Lu Xingqian could hear it. What? Qin Feiyang's expression changed. Lu Xingqian clenched his fists. If you want to save her, you should know what to do. Yanwei chuckled, got up and left. Qin Feiyang said, go back and tell the state preceptor that if he dares to hurt her, I will make him regret it for the rest of his life. You'd better pray for yourself. Yanwei said with a smile without turning his head. This guy is too good at acting. Qin Feiyang laughed and transmitted his voice. If the state preceptor really wants to take you as his confidant, he should use the blood soul technique to control you. But you don't have to worry, I have a way to remove the blood soul technique. Now I will help you remove the slave seal. Then with a thought, the slave seal in Yanwei's soul directly dissipated. When he first met Yanwei in the Black Dragon Glacier, Qin Feiyang used the slave seal to control him. And with the slave seal, the state preceptor's blood soul technique could not succeed. So, he had to remove the slave seal first. As for whether Yanwei would betray him after the slave seal was removed, he was not worried at all. Because after all these years of getting along, Yanwei was already dead set on him. Then I'll go first. Yanwei transmitted his voice. Well, be careful. By the way, the blood soul technique can only control the power of the bloodline. It can't peek into one's thoughts. You don't have to worry too much. Qin Feiyang secretly warned. Okay. Yanwei secretly replied. After Yanwei left the fragrant moon brothel, Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed slightly. He looked at Lu Xingqian and transmitted his voice. You guessed right, that old thing has begun to make a move on the people around me. I don't care so much. This matter started because of you. You have to save Shun Mei, or I will not let you off. Lu Xingqian secretly said. It's not like you don't know the state preceptor. He is a cunning old fox. He will definitely hide Shun Mei immediately. How do you want me to save her? Qin Feiyang frowned. Lu Xingqian's face was as dark as water. Qin Feiyang coldly snorted, to be honest, this matter is actually your fault. Me? Lu Xingqian raised his eyebrows. At first, I was worried that the state preceptor would make a move on them, so I wanted to take them away. But Shun Mei was willing to stay in the Divine Hall for you. I thought you would take good care of her, but I didn't expect that she would be taken away by the state preceptor. Qin Feiyang said. Lu Xingqian's fingers clenched tighter and tighter, making a cracking sound. Qin Feiyang said, I'm afraid I can't help in this matter, because I can't give the state preceptor what he wants. Only you can do it, and with the help of Mu Qing's all-seeing eye, I believe it won't be difficult for you to save Shun Mei. What does the state preceptor want? Lu Xingqian asked, his eyes flashing. I can't tell you now, but I can tell you with certainty that if the state preceptor gets this thing, you and I will be finished. Qin Feiyang said in a low voice. So serious? Lu Xingqian raised his eyebrows. Qin Feiyang nodded and added, to be exact, it's more serious than I said. Lu Xingqian's heart sank. After pondering for a while, he got up and said, I'm not in the mood to sit with you. Goodbye. After that, he opened the portal and walked in without looking back. Qin Feiyang looked at Lu Xingqian's back, and a smile flashed in his eyes. As soon as he returned to Imperial City, Lu Xingqian began to use the Temple of War to set up a trap for him. Frankly speaking, he really had a headache. But now, in order to save Shun Mei, Lu Xingqian wouldn't have time to harass him for the next period of time. He could also deal with business. That's right. He let Yanwei kidnap Shun Mei to test whether Lu Xingqian was sincere or not, but that was only secondary. Most importantly, he wanted to use Shun Mei to stall Lu Xingqian for another matter entirely. And this time he had to get to the bottom of it. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed, and he shouted, Waiter, the bill. In a courtyard, the state preceptor sat by the tea table and looked at Yanwei with a smile. Well done. Yanwei bowed and said, It's this subordinate's honor to serve you, sir. The state preceptor sized up Yanwei for a moment and said, I have always seen your loyalty. From now on you will follow me. Really? Yanwei was wild with joy. Yes. The state preceptor nodded and said, however, you also know my character. I don't trust anyone easily. This subordinate understands. As long as I can follow you, I will do whatever you want me to do. Yanwei lowered his head and said, Very good. The state preceptor smiled happily. His hands formed a seal, and a blood-red mark appeared. Chapter 1301. This is the Blood Soul spell. Can control your bloodline power. Once controlled by the Blood Soul spell, you will be my servant for life. The Grand Preceptor said. Sure enough, Qin Feiyang was right. Yin Wei's heart skipped a beat as he bowed and said, this subordinate is willing to be controlled by the Blood Soul spell. Very good. The Grand Preceptor laughed and waved his hand. The mark turned into a stream of light and entered Yin Wei's body. After the Blood Soul spell was completed, Yin Wei cupped his hands and said, My lord, what's the next step? Wait. Since Qin Feiyang cares so much about Shun Mei, he will definitely come to me personally. The Grand Preceptor sneered. What if he doesn't come? After all, Qin Feiyang can't be looked at with ordinary eyes. Yin Wei said. You have a point. The Grand Preceptor nodded. After thinking for a moment he sighed. It seems that I don't have enough chips in my hands. Go to the spiritual state again. Why do I go to the spiritual state? Yin Wei was surprised. When Qin Feiyang was stranded in the spiritual state, he must have made some good friends. Go and check. If there are any, bring them to the capital. The Grand Preceptor said. This subordinate understands. But there's a problem. Elder Qin is now in charge of the Butterfly Valley. Will this subordinate arouse his suspicion if I go to the spiritual state? Yin Wei said worriedly. Isn't that simple? The 9 states are connected. You can go to the other 8 states first before entering the spiritual state. How about this? Go to the pagoda and find Zhuge Nanhua. He will make the arrangements. The Grand Preceptor said and gave the coordinates of the pagoda to Yin Wei. Yes. Yin Wei responded respectfully and opened the portal to leave. Somewhere in the void of the hall, there was a spatial divine item hidden. Mu Qing stood beside Lu Xingchen and frowned. My lord, is Shun Mei really that important to you? Is that something you should ask? Lu Xingchen raised his eyebrows. Mu Qing quickly lowered her head and didn't dare to make a sound. Lu Xingchen looked at the state preceptor on the screen and asked, Are you sure Shun Mei is here? My all-seeing eye won't make a mistake. It's definitely here. However, I can't predict the exact location. I think the Imperial Preceptor must have set up a divine power barrier around Shun Mei. Mu Qing said. This old bastard. Lu Xingchen's eyes flashed with killing intent. Suddenly, the Imperial Preceptor, who was drinking tea in silence, released his divine sense and instantly captured the divine spatial item, hidden in the void. Lu Xingchen saw that the situation was not good, and immediately drove the spatial divine item away. The state preceptor didn't pursue and murmured, It seems like you really care about this woman. He thought it was Qin Feiyang, but he didn't know that it was Lu Xingchen. Pagoda. Zhuge Nanhua sat in front of the pagoda with his eyes closed. His aura was unfathomable. Yin Wei appeared out of thin air. He glanced at the pagoda and bowed. Greetings, Lord Zhuge Nanhua. What are you doing here? Zhuge Nanhua opened his eyes and looked at Yin Wei suspiciously. Obviously, he knew Yin Wei as well. Yin Wei said honestly, the Imperial Preceptor is worried that he doesn't have enough chips in his hands, so he sent me to the spiritual state to look for Qin Feiyang's friend. Zhuge Nanhua nodded in realization and smiled. It seems like the Patriarch trusts you a lot since he gave you such an important mission. Yin Wei smiled. Follow me. Zhuge Nanhua stood up and opened the pagoda door. He led Yin Wei to the teleportation altar that led to Yuzhou. Elder Qin is guarding the spiritual state. That old bastard isn't easy to deal with, so it's best not to let him find out. Go to Yuzhou first, then to spiritual state. When you return, come back from Yuzhou. Zhuge Nanhua said. Understood. Yin Wei nodded and activated the teleportation altar. Soon they arrived in the sky above a valley in Yuzhou. In the valley, a white-haired old man was guarding it. Who is it? Seeing Yin Wei appear, the white-haired old man immediately shouted. Yin Wei said, I'm an enforcer of the law enforcement hall of the imperial capital. Enforcer. The white-haired old man's expression changed. He quickly bowed and said, Greetings, sir. May I know why you have come to Yuzhou? Don't ask what you shouldn't. Yin Wei glanced at him coldly. Then, He turned into a stream of light and flew away without looking back. When he was far away from the valley, a person suddenly appeared in the void. It was Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang shouted, "Yin Wei, wait!" Yin Wei was slightly stunned. He stopped in the void and turned to look at Qin Feiyang. A hint of surprise appeared on his face as he asked, "Why are you here?" "I followed you here." Qin Feiyang smiled. "Followed me?" Yin Wei frowned and said angrily, "I've followed you for so many years, and you still don't believe me? What are you talking about? I have something to do and need to go to the Forgotten Continent. So, I've been hiding in the pagoda looking for an opportunity. I didn't expect to meet you, so I followed you here." Qin Feiyang said. "Go to the Forgotten Continent?" Yin Wei was stunned and asked, "So, you're not following me? Why would I follow you?" Qin Feiyang asked. Yin Wei scratched his head and said awkwardly, "I thought that you were doubting my loyalty to you after removing the slave seal." Qin Feiyang was speechless when he heard this. Yin Wei smiled and asked suspiciously, "Don't you have the gate of space and time? Why did you go to the pagoda?" "The gate of space and time is in the hands of Fatso," Qin Feiyang said. Yin Wei said, "Then why are you going to the Forgotten Continent now?" "To find the Mu clan's nest and understand the Mu clan's true strength," Qin Feiyang said. This was his purpose. "Understood. You're preparing for a rainy day. However, we couldn't find the Mu clan's nest after investigating for so long. This time you might not be able to find it," Yin Wei said. "Don't worry, I'm confident this time." Qin Feiyang smiled. "That's good. Oh right, you heard my conversation with Zhuge Nanhua just now. What do you think I should do?" Yin Wei asked. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, "Now that you've gained the trust of the imperial tutor, it doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter what I do." Yin Wei murmured and suddenly smiled and nodded. "Understood, then I'll go." "Wait. Don't let Lu Xingchen save Shen Mei too easily. Because once he saves Shen Mei, he'll immediately think of me. I don't want him and Mu Qing to go to the Forgotten Continent to mess things up," Qin Feiyang said. "Okay." Yin Wei nodded. "Then go." Qin Feiyang smiled and said, "The Mu clan has more than one false god. You have to be careful." Yin Wei exhorted before turning around and leaving. After watching Yin Wei leave, Qin Feiyang opened the portal and directly descended on the Butterfly Valley. "I was wondering why I kept sneezing today, so it's because we have a distinguished guest." A hoarse voice suddenly sounded in the Butterfly Valley. Qin Feiyang looked in the direction of the voice and saw Old Man Qin sitting alone by the lake, fishing with a fishing rod. It seems that Old Man Qin is living a good life after coming to the spiritual state. Qin Feiyang stepped forward and landed beside Old Man Qin with a smile. "Isn't this all thanks to you? But to be honest, this old man really likes this kind of carefree life." Old Man Qin chuckled. Qin Feiyang shook his head and said, "Now that the Great Qin Empire is facing internal and external troubles, I'm afraid it's impossible for Old Man Qin to live a carefree life." Old Man Qin looked up at Qin Feiyang and said, "So, you've investigated everything?" "Yes. There's conclusive evidence that the national advisor is trying to usurp the throne. Mu Tianyang has also revealed his fangs. However, our current emperor not only doesn't realize it, but also thinks about his own desires all day long. To be honest, I'm really worried about the fate of the Great Qin Empire." Qin Feiyang sighed. Old Man Qin asked with a smile, "Then why don't you tell him? Will it work? Besides, will he believe me?" Qin Feiyang said. "Sigh." Old Man Qin sighed and said, "It's not just you, even I don't dare to be honest with His Majesty. His Majesty is becoming more and more incomprehensible." Then Old Man Qin smiled and said, "But fortunately, there's still you. I believe that with your ability, you can definitely solve these problems." "You're overestimating me. Let me say something that shouldn't be said. Most people at my age are still drinking and having fun. Why do I have to bear such a heavy responsibility?" Qin Feiyang looked at the calm lake and said, "This is the fate of people. Some people are born mediocre, some people are born rich, and you're born with the responsibility of the world. Perhaps this is unfair to you, but have you ever thought about what is fair in this world? It can be said that there is no fairness in this world." Old Man Qin sighed. "Fate?" Qin Feiyang murmured, looked up at the sky, and shook his head. "I don't believe in fate. I only believe that man can conquer the heavens. Old man Qin smiled and said, with your words, I believe that you can bear this heavy responsibility. Qin Feiyong shook his head and laughed. Old man Qin asked, why did you come to the spiritual state this time? To the forgotten continent. Qin Feiyong said. Just as he was about to explain, Old man Qin waved his hand and said, from now on, I won't care about what you do, because I believe that you won't do anything to harm the great Qin Empire. Thank you. Qin Feiyong cupped his hands and said. The meaning of Old man Qin's words was obvious. He supported him unconditionally. By the way, Qin Feiyong suddenly thought of something and said, Old man Qin, can I ask you a question? What? Old man Qin said. Qin Feiyong frowned and said, what is the opportunity to become an immortal? Now, although he didn't lack powerhouses by his side, he didn't have a single false god. And now, only with a few false gods by his side would he have the capital to compete with the imperial advisor, the emperor, and the chief tower master. The opportunity to become an immortal? Old man Qin was slightly stunned. He looked up at Qin Feiyong and frowned. You are only a one-star combat emperor. Isn't it too early to ask about this? I don't dare to boast. But I am confident that it won't be long before I can break through to the 9-star combat emperor. Qin Feiyong said. Old man Qin smiled helplessly. This was called not boasting? Even if he opened the door of potential, it was impossible to step into the 9-star combat emperor in a few years or decades, because in the combat emperor realm there was a huge gap between each small realm. Chapter 1302. But what Old man Qin didn't know was that time had no concept for Qin Feiyong, because the rules of time in the castle had changed. 10 days had passed inside, but only 1 day had passed outside. However, Qin Feiyong couldn't tell anyone else about the changes in the castle. Just tell me. Qin Feiyong smiled and said with a pleading tone. You little brat. Old man Qin shook his head helplessly and said, I can tell you, but I hope you don't bite off more than you can chew. Qin Feiyong was overjoyed and quickly nodded. Old man Qin said, the opportunity to become a god is only 12 words. 12 words? Qin Feiyong was immediately stunned and asked, is it that simple? Of course not. Only by comprehending the true meaning of these 12 words, and doing it can you get the opportunity to become a god. Old man Qin said. Then what are these 12 words? Qin Feiyong asked. Don't forget your original intention. Don't forget your original heart. Only then can you achieve results. Old man Qin said word by word, sonorous and powerful. Boom! Qin Feiyong was like a bolt from the blue, his head rumbling. Old man Qin's words were exactly the same as what Uncle Yuan said last time. In other words, when Uncle Yuan appeared last time, he had already told him the opportunity to become a god, but he didn't comprehend it. In other words, Uncle Yuan's appearance last time might be to tell him the opportunity to become a god. What do these 12 words mean? Qin Feiyong asked. You need to comprehend it yourself, others won't help you at all. Old man Qin said. Phew. Qin Feiyong took a deep breath and bowed. Thank you for your guidance, Old man Qin. Go ahead, do what you want to do. Old man Qin waved his hand and smiled. Qin Feiyong nodded, turned around and soared into the sky. While thinking, he flew toward the teleportation altar. Didn't forget his original intention mean that he shouldn't forget why he first stepped on the path of cultivation? And didn't forget his original heart mean that he shouldn't forget his true thoughts in the depths of his heart? According to the literal meaning, it should be so. But was it really that simple? If it was really that simple, then why were there so few people in this world who had successfully stepped into the war god realm? Very soon, he entered the secret room and arrived in front of the teleportation altar. It seems that with my current cultivation, I still can't understand the true meaning of this sentence. However, we can tell Wang Yongfeng and the others first. Qin Feiyong muttered as he took out the image crystal. Wang. A short while later, Fatso's phantom appeared. Fatso looked at the secret room behind Qin Feiyong and asked suspiciously, Boss, where are you? Butterfly Valley. Are Elder Wang and the others around? Qin Feiyong asked. They split up and went to Pan County and Yin County to gather information. I'm about to sneak into the inner palace to take a look. What are you doing in Butterfly Valley? Fatso asked suspiciously. Qin Feiyong said, I'm going to the Forgotten Continent. Before I go, I have 2 things to tell you. Forgotten Continent? Fatso was taken aback and said, Go ahead. First, when Wang Yongfeng and the others come back, you tell them this sentence. Don't forget your original intention. Don't forget your original heart. Only then can you achieve success. These 12 words Elder Qin told me just now are the opportunity to become a war god. Second, after finding out the whereabouts of Lin Yi and the mermaid princess, you all return to the Bright Sky Palace immediately. If anyone asks, just say that I'm in seclusion and won't see anyone. Qin Feiyong said. The opportunity to become a war god. Fatso's body trembled, and his eyes were filled with disbelief. When Uncle Yuan said this sentence, he was also present. At that time, he even pondered the meaning of this sentence. But he didn't expect it to be the opportunity to become a war god. Remember, especially Lu Xingchen, you must not let him know that I went to the Forgotten Continent. Qin Feiyong said. No problem. Fatso nodded but then frowned and thought, Lu Xingchen is easy to deal with, but Mu Qing has omniscient eye. How can it be hidden? If there is nothing important, will he use omniscient eye to spy on my whereabouts for no reason? Qin Feiyong rolled his eyes at him. That's true. Fatso nodded thoughtfully. Suddenly he seemed to have thought of something. He said, There is a problem that Fat Lord has never been able to figure out. What's the problem? Qin Feiyong was suspicious. Back then, your mother said that the former emperor branded the word prisoner on the foreheads of the state preceptor and Zhuge Shanfeng. And this word, prisoner, can never be erased. But why didn't I see the word prisoner on the state preceptor's forehead? Is it a makeover? But your mother seems to have said that even a makeover won't work. Fatso said. I have also thought about this problem. I think he should be wearing a human skin mask. Qin Feiyong said. Human skin mask. Fatso's eyes suddenly became playful. He chuckled and said, Say if one day we tear off the mask on his face in front of everyone, how surprised will people be? Qin Feiyong shook his head in amusement and said, Don't forget what I told you just now. Don't worry, Fat Lord will hold them back. But after you go to the Forgotten Continent, don't forget another thing. Heavenly Spiral Tribe Chu Xian. Fatso said, murderous intent flashing in his eyes. Heavenly Spiral Tribe. Qin Feiyong murmured. The people of this tribe hated them to the bone, especially Chu Xian. Back then, the resentful look in her eyes was as if she wanted to pull out their tendons and pull out their bones. If they kept them alive, sooner or later they would become a disaster, so it was necessary to get rid of them as soon as possible. I will find her. After saying that, Qin Feiyong turned off the image crystal, opened the teleportation altar, and strode up. Forgotten Continent. Glacier Forest. This place was still the same as before. The cold wind was bone-piercing and the snow was white. Swish. Above the ice lake, Qin Feiyong appeared out of thin air. Glancing around, he was about to leave. But suddenly, he faintly felt a wisp of dragon's aura under the ice lake. What's going on? Isn't this where the snow python stays? Qin Feiyong had a suspicious look on his face as he silently entered the ice lake. Get out! But at this time, a cold shout with a bone-piercing murderous intent suddenly exploded in Qin Feiyong's mind. Qin Feiyong quivered and hurriedly turned around and ran out of the ice lake. Because the owner of this voice was the snow python. Senior Junior did not mean to disturb, please forgive me. Looking at the ice lake, Qin Feiyong cupped his hands and said a few words. He then flew away without looking back. What a joke. This snow python was a true god of war. Even the state preceptor could not resist it, let alone him. So it was better to stay away from her. But what was with that dragon's aura? Could it be that a baby dragon was born under the ice lake? Dragon, Qin Feiyong's eyes flickered. The dragon's aura at the bottom of the ice lake reminded him of the little white dragon in the main tower. He did not know where the little white dragon was hiding. Looks like I have to talk to Li Yan, because only Li Yan could find the little white dragon. This is the Forgotten Continent? But suddenly, a voice full of curiosity entered Qin Feiyong's ears. Qin Feiyong was stunned. He stopped in the air and turned his head to look. His body suddenly stiffened. He saw a young man with dark skin and bare upper body standing above the ice lake, curiously looking around. Who else could it be but Lu Zheng? Little cousin, long time no see, did you miss me? Lu Zheng also looked at Qin Feiyong and grinned, revealing a mouthful of white teeth. Qin Feiyong rolled his eyes. Whoosh! Lu Zheng cut across the sky and rushed in front of Qin Feiyong. He said unhappily, "You are too mean. We are brothers who have been through thick and thin. Why didn't you call me when you came to the Forgotten Continent?" Wait. Qin Feiyong hurriedly waved his hand and frowned. Aren't you in the imperial capital? Yes, I am in the imperial capital. Lu Zheng nodded. Then why are you here? Qin Feiyong was puzzled. From the imperial capital to the spiritual state, one had to pass through the pagoda. And the pagoda was guarded by Zhuge Nanhua. How did Lu Zheng come? Also, why didn't Elder Qin stop him? Lu Zheng touched his chin and laughed. About this question, I can only say that I am too handsome. Zhuge Nanhua and Elder Qin are charmed by me. Qin Feiyong's face darkened and his veins bulged. He really wanted to slap him. What do you want to do? Don't forget, I am your cousin. The eldest brother is the father. If you dare to touch me, you will be struck by lightning. Lu Zheng crossed his arms in front of his chest and looked at him warily like a frightened little girl. Qin Feiyong looked at the sky and was speechless. He really didn't want to stay with this outrageous cousin. But he was helpless. This outrageous cousin was clearly going to pester him to the end. Actually, Lu Zheng's face suddenly became serious. Qin Feiyong was stunned and asked, "Actually what?" "It was Elder Qin who helped me," Lu Zheng said. Qin Feiyong was surprised. In the past, he didn't know about the state preceptor's conspiracy, so Elder Qin didn't like our Lu family very much. But now he has already sided with us. Speaking of which, this is still to your credit, Lu Zheng said with a smile. I see, Qin Feiyong murmured. Lu Zheng asked, "By the way, where is Aunt? Mother, she's missing again." Qin Feiyong sighed. What the hell? Lu Zheng's face froze and he said, "She's not in your castle?" Qin Feiyong shook his head. "What are you doing? It wasn't easy to save Aunt. How can you abandon her?" Lu Zheng said angrily. "Who said that I abandoned Mother? Let me tell you, no one in this world cares about Mother more than I do," Qin Feiyong shouted. Lu Zheng also realized that he had said something wrong. With a trace of apology on his face, he asked, "Then what's going on?" Qin Feiyong briefly told him about the situation when his mother left. "Alas! Aunt, why did you do this?" After hearing this, Lu Zheng couldn't help but let out a long sigh. Qin Feiyong was stunned. He grabbed Lu Zheng's clothes and said anxiously, "From what you said, do you know where Mother went?" "How would I know?" Lu Zheng rolled his eyes at him and sighed. "I'm just lamenting that Aunt's life has been too difficult. She should stop and have a good rest." A trace of disappointment crept into Qin Feiyong's eyes. He let go of Lu Zheng's clothes and nodded. "Yes, if Mother could stay by my side with peace of mind, I wouldn't have so many worries. Only with worries can there be pressure. Only with pressure can there be motivation. Work hard, young man." Chapter 1303. Qin Feiyong rolled his eyes at Lu Zheng. He was not young anymore. Was it appropriate to call him a young man? You can only stay in the Forgotten Continent for half a month. If you do not report to me after half a month, I will personally come to find you. But at that time you will have to pay a heavy price. Suddenly, the snow python's cold voice came from the ice lake. What? Qin Feiyong's face changed, and he hurriedly said, "Senior, it was not like this before. You also did not brazenly bring people here before," the snow python said. Qin Feiyong's body stiffened. He hurriedly pointed at Lu Zheng and shouted, "I don't know him at all." He jumped out by himself. "What? You don't know me? Your words make me very angry." Lu Zheng glared at him. Qin Feiyong glanced at him indifferently and looked at the ice lake, saying, "Senior, I really don't know him. You can do whatever you want. Even if you kill him, I have no objections." "Bastard! You will be punished by the heavens sooner or later," Lu Zheng angrily roared. "Tiske." Qin Feiyong looked at Lu Zheng with disdain. and then looked at the ice lake saying, "Senior, half a month is too short. Can you give me a few more days?" However, no matter what he said, the snow python did not respond to him. "It's all your fault." Qin Feiyong glared at Lu Zheng angrily. "It's none of my business." Lu Zheng coldly snorted. Qin Feiyong rubbed his head, turned into a stream of light, and flew away. Half a month had passed in the blink of an eye. He had to speed up. "Wait for me." Lu Zheng hurriedly caught up and asked in a low voice, "Who was the woman who spoke just now? You seem to be very scared." "Nonsense. Even the state preceptor could not fight back in front of her. Do you think I'm not scared?" Qin Feiyong said in a deep voice. "What? Then wouldn't she be?" Lu Zheng was dumbfounded and full of shock. "As long as you understand." Qin Feiyong said. "Tsk. There are even real war gods. This forgotten continent is truly an interesting place." Lu Zheng was speechless. His eyes were filled with anticipation. "Interesting." Qin Feiyong snorted inwardly. Although it was interesting, it was also a place where people could lose their lives. "Where to now?" Lu Zheng asked. "Let's leave this glacier first," Qin Feiyong said. Whoosh! The two of them streaked across the sky like lightning and soon flew out of the glacier forest, arriving in the sky above a desolate tribe. Lu Zheng scanned the tribe and asked suspiciously, "Why is there no one here?" "Dead," Qin Feiyong said. The tribes in the first and second regions had all been massacred by the mysterious madam. It would be strange if there were people. He waved his hand, and a group of ferocious beasts appeared. There were at least 80 or 90 of them. They were all 9-star emperor beasts, including the seahorse and the seal. Qin Feiyong said, "I want to find a tribe. Seahorse and seal, take a pair each and split up to look." "What tribe? Is it easy to find?" the seahorse and the seal asked. "Yes, because there is only one tribe in the first region. In short, as long as you find someone, he must be from that tribe," Qin Feiyong said. "Understood. Brothers, let's go." The seahorse and the seal nodded. Then with a shout, the 89 9-star emperor beasts left in a mighty manner. "Cousin, why is there only one tribe in the first region?" Lu Zheng asked suspiciously. "Let's talk as we walk," Qin Feiyong said. Lu Zheng had just come to the forgotten continent, so he would definitely ask endless questions along the way. Therefore, for the sake of peace, it was better to tell him everything about the forgotten continent at once. Time passed in the blink of an eye. 4 hours later, Qin Feiyong brought Lu Zheng to the sky above the ruins of Sky Thunder City. The entire city had long been reduced to ashes. Now it was overgrown with weeds and shrubs, looking extremely desolate. However, the pill tower was still standing on the ground, exuding an ancient and mysterious aura. This pill tower is not simple. When Lu Zheng saw the pill tower, a trace of surprise appeared in his eyes. Qin Feiyong was stunned and asked, "What do you mean?" Lu Zheng flew over and carefully observed for a moment, saying, "According to my speculation, this pill tower has a history of at least 10,000 years. But if you look carefully, there is not even a trace of weathering on the surface. If it is just an ordinary stone tower, how can it be?" "You are right. This pill tower is indeed not simple. Back then, when we were fighting here, the entire city was razed to the ground. Only this pill tower is intact," Qin Feiyong said. "Could it be a divine artifact?" Lu Zheng was bewildered. Qin Feiyong said, "If it is a divine artifact, even if it has not recovered, it should still have divine power. But do you feel divine power?" "No." Lu Zheng shook his head and walked around the pill tower. Then he stood in front of the door and asked, "Do you want to go in and take a look?" The door was wide open. The inside was full of dust and the walls were covered with cobwebs. "Whatever," Qin Feiyong said. When Lu Zheng heard this, he immediately rushed into the pill tower. In addition to the mess, there were many skeletons inside. Lu Zheng asked, "Were the owners of these skeletons killed by you back then?" "I'm not sure." Qin Feiyong shook his head. The mysterious woman massacred the first area after he left, so the owners of these skeletons should have died in the hands of the mysterious woman. But it had been too long, so he could not remember clearly. "Help! Who can save me?" The two of them had just reached the second floor when a cry for help suddenly sounded upstairs. "Someone is here?" The two of them were stunned. Whoosh! The next moment, the two of them used their fastest speed and rushed to the third floor like lightning. Immediately, they saw a 13 or 14-year-old boy curled up in the corner of an alchemy room. In front of him there was a group of black spiders. Each of them was the size of a fist and looked quite ferocious as they hissed. Lu Zheng asked secretly, "He can't be from the Heavenly Spiral tribe, right?" "Most likely," Qin Feiyang mumbled. The boy also noticed Qin Feiyang and Lu Zheng. As if he had grabbed onto a life-saving straw, he immediately shouted, "Big brothers, please save me." Qin Feiyang stepped forward and stomped on the ground. The spiders on the ground were all killed instantly. Flesh and blood splattered everywhere. The boy was dumbfounded. These ferocious creatures that almost killed him were killed by a single stomp? Qin Feiyang waved his hand and the blood mist dissipated. Then, he looked at the boy and asked, "What's your name?" The boy stammered. It seemed that he was frightened by Qin Feiyang's methods. Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows, turned around and said, "Come out with me first." The boy stood up and followed Qin Feiyang and Lu Zheng timidly. They walked up the stairs and went to the first floor. However, when they reached the second floor, the boy suddenly raised his head. His eyes that were originally filled with fear were filled with a shocking murderous glint. Following that, he took out a dagger from his chinkuan bag and stabbed towards Qin Feiyang's back. The boy only had the cultivation of a martial master, while Qin Feiyang was a war emperor. The difference was like heaven and earth. How could the boy succeed? Qin Feiyang stopped and released a wisp of aura. The boy was sent flying and crashed into the stone stairs behind him. Clang! The dagger fell to the ground. The boy spat out a mouthful of blood. His face was pale, but he looked at Qin Feiyang with eyes full of hatred and madness. Qin Feiyang turned to look at the boy and said indifferently, "I saved you. Why aren't you grateful? Instead, you want to assassinate me? Because you deserve to die." The boy roared. "Why do I deserve to die? Do I have a grudge against you?" Qin Feiyang said, "You devil, don't think of getting any useful information from me." The boy sneered. "You have a good backbone, but unfortunately you found the wrong person. If I'm not wrong, your surname should be Chu, and you're from the Heavenly Spiral tribe. And since you're here, the Heavenly Spiral tribe should be nearby, right?" Qin Feiyang said, "My surname is not Chu, and I don't know what the Heavenly Spiral tribe is." The boy roared, but his expression was full of panic. "He's so young, but he's already so vicious. It seems that this Chu Xian has instilled a lot of hatred into him." Lu Zheng sighed. "That's normal. If it weren't for me, the Heavenly Spiral tribe wouldn't have been expelled to the first district." Qin Feiyang said, "So you still know. What did my Heavenly Spiral tribe do wrong? What right do you have to do this?" The boy went crazy when he heard Qin Feiyang's words. Qin Feiyang said, "You only know that I was the one who expelled your Heavenly Spiral tribe, but you don't know why I did it. It seems that Chu Xian deliberately hid this matter from you. The Patriarch didn't hide it from us. Isn't it because the Patriarch offended you back then, and you used your position for personal gain to take revenge on us? You're a damn devil." The boy roared hysterically. "Patriarch?" Qin Feiyang was surprised. Chu Xian actually became the Patriarch of the Heavenly Spiral tribe? But thinking about it, Chu Xian's father was already dead, and as a former disciple of the main tower, Chu Xian naturally had the ability to do so. Qin Feiyang glanced at the boy and said indifferently, "Tell me, where is your tribe? You'll die a horrible death. Just you wait." The boy smiled ferociously and slammed his head into the stairs. Blood splattered 3 feet, and he died on the spot. Lu Zheng was dumbfounded and muttered, "How much hatred do you have with the Heavenly Spiral tribe that he would rather die than say it?" Seeing this scene, Qin Feiyang was even more determined to kill Chu Xian. On one hand, it was for his own sake. Although the Heavenly Spiral tribe wasn't very strong, he always remembered one sentence, and that was not to underestimate anyone. As long as it was an enemy, he had to eliminate them completely. On the other hand, it was because Chu Xian was instilling this hatred in the people of the Heavenly Spiral tribe. For example, this boy was blinded by hatred and even his nature was distorted. Once such a person became powerful in the future, he would definitely lose his mind. "You want to continue?" Qin Feiyang turned to look at Lu Zheng and asked. Lu Zheng looked up at the upper floors and said, "Since we're already here, we have to go up and take a look. Go do your thing, don't worry about me." Chapter 1304. But looking around, there was nothing except for the vast mountains. "It must be nearby," Qin Feiyang muttered. With the youth's cultivation, it was impossible for him to go far. Swoosh! He turned into a stream of light and searched within a radius of a few hundred miles around the Pill Pagoda. A few hundred breaths later, he found a huge canyon. The canyon covered an area of several miles and was lush with vegetation. In the canyon, wooden buildings were arranged in a picturesque manner, forming a huge tribe. "I finally found you," Qin Feiyang muttered. He stood on the peak of a mountain on one side of the canyon and scanned the area below. At the same time, in the canyon in a square, a young woman in a purple dress stood on the high platform, her face as cold as ice. That's right. She was Chu Xian. Below the high platform, there were many youths standing in an orderly manner. The oldest of these youths was only 15 or 16 years old, while the youngest was only 6 or 7 years old. Chu Xian glanced at those youths and shouted, "All of you must remember this. The reason why our heavenly spiral tribe has fallen to such a state is all because of him." Chu Xian pointed to the opposite side of the square. There was a statue standing there. The statue's appearance was exactly the same as Qin Feiyang's. Those youths turned their heads and looked at Qin Feiyang's statue with hatred in their eyes. "It's him who chased us out of the central divine kingdom. It's also him who killed our old patriarch. But he's very strong. He can even destroy our heavenly spiral tribe with one hand. However, our heavenly spiral tribe never admits defeat, and will never give up on returning to the central divine kingdom. So, I want all of you to remember him. I want all of you to work hard in your cultivation. Because only by becoming stronger can we take revenge on him. Understand?" Chu Xian shouted. "Understood." Those youths roared with murderous intent. Even those 5 or 6-year-old children were full of murderous intent. There were many adults around, their eyes filled with hatred. "Hurry up and cultivate." Chu Xian nodded in satisfaction and waved her hand. After the youths left, a middle-aged woman walked up to the stage and said, "Xianer, I know you hate Qin Feiyang, and we all hate him, but you can't tell the children these things every day. It will make them lose their happiness." "Happy? Do we still have the right to be happy now?" Chu Xian snorted coldly. The woman was her birth mother, but there was no emotion in her eyes, only coldness. Alas! The woman sighed deeply, then silently turned and left. Chu Xian glanced at the woman's back and clenched her fists. She sneered, "Qin Feiyang, I swear I'll make you pay. Do you have the ability?" But before he could finish his sentence, a voice filled with mockery sounded. "Who?" Chu Xian looked up and saw a white figure descending from the sky. "It's you." Immediately, her eyes were filled with killing intent, but at the same time there was also a trace of panic. Damn it! How did he find this place? The other people in the tribe also changed their expressions. Qin Feiyang landed on the square and looked at the statue opposite him. He shook his head and said, "You're really unscrupulous in order to take revenge. What are you doing here? Get out of here right now, you're not welcome here." Chu Xian shouted. "There are too many people who don't welcome me, and you're just the most insignificant person among them." Qin Feiyang waved his hand and the statue shattered. Chu Xian trembled and said angrily, "You've already driven us out of the central divine kingdom. What else do you want?" Qin Feiyang turned to look at her. His cold eyes made Chu Xian despair. She never thought that Qin Feiyang would find this place. And Qin Feiyang's purpose of coming here was very obvious. He wanted to eliminate the source of the problem. "If you can turn over a new leaf and turn over a new leaf, I'll consider letting the heavenly spiral tribe go. But what you've done has disappointed me. It's not fair for you to impose your hatred on those children." Qin Feiyang shook his head. "Fair? Haha. If there's such a thing as fairness in this world, why would the heavenly spiral tribe end up like this?" Chu Xian had gone crazy. "Until today you still haven't realized your mistake. You're really hopeless." Qin Feiyang raised his arm and pointed at the air. A wisp of red sword chi appeared and swept toward Chu Xian's chest. "Everyone go." Even if we have to risk our lives, we have to take him down with us. Chu Xian shouted as she retreated in panic. Whoosh! The woman who had left earlier returned and blocked in front of Chu Xian. The red sword chi directly pierced through her heart. A scream and blood splattered in the air. You demon beast, will kill you. Looking at the woman who had fallen, the surrounding people's eyes suddenly turned red. They roared and rushed toward Qin Feiyong without caring about anything else. Even those youths were grabbing all kinds of ice blades as they charged towards Qin Feiyong with extreme hostility. Qin Feiyong waved his hand and Viper appeared. You know what to do, right? Of course. Viper licked his lips and his eyes flashed with a bloodthirsty light. Whoosh! Qin Feiyong rose into the air and stood on the top of the mountain. He looked into the distance with a trace of inexplicable sadness in his eyes. There were many things in this world that made people helpless. Take the Heavenly Spiral tribe for example. If he didn't eliminate them today, these people would definitely try their best to take revenge on him in the future. As for right and wrong, they didn't care. Because they only remembered that it was he, Qin Feiyong, who drove the Heavenly Spiral tribe out of the Central Divine Kingdom. And this hatred was something they would never forget. Didn't you enter the main tower before? If you show your identity token in the main tower, won't they let you in immediately? Lu Zheng said with a smile. It's useless. My identity token is the direct disciple of the main tower master. It's different from the token of an ordinary disciple. Now, the main tower master doesn't have a single disciple. If I take it out, it will directly expose my identity. Qin Feiyong secretly said. In my opinion, you are a jinx. No matter where you go, you will always be in trouble. Lu Zheng looked at him helplessly. With a wave of his hand, his battle chi surged. The 4 guards screamed and died on the spot. Hearing the screams, the people inside and outside the city immediately looked over. When they saw the 4 guards lying on the snow, their faces immediately changed. Murder! Someone killed the city guards! Exclamations constantly sounded in the city. Since we can't fool them, we will directly kill our way in. This is in line with our character. Lu Zheng laughed cruelly. He turned into a stream of light and directly flew to the sky above the city gate. Qin Feiyong shook his head and laughed. He also flew into the sky and flew into the city. Stop! How dare you kill the guards of the city? Did you eat a leopard's guts? Along the way, there were guards constantly intercepting them, but they were all easily dealt with by Lu Zheng. After a while, the 2 of them arrived above the teleportation altar. Sure enough, as Qin Feiyong expected, this place was even more heavily guarded than the city gate. More than 100 guards of the city lord's mansion surrounded the square. Each of them had the cultivation of a battle saint. Beside the teleportation altar, there were 4 old men sitting cross-legged. The 4 of them were wearing long robes. Their white hair was mottled, and their auras were unfathomable. They all wore a pure gold token on their waists. And on the token there was a flame pattern. Although the faces of the 4 people were unfamiliar, Qin Feiyong was able to identify them with a single glance. Because that token was the Master Tower's Oracle token. In other words, Chapter 1305. The 4 divine messengers were here. And their cultivation levels weren't bad. 2 3-star combat emperors and 2 4-star combat emperors. With such a lineup, even a fly wouldn't be able to get past them. Similarly, this lineup was more than enough to deal with Qin Feiyong in the past. However, the main pagoda underestimated Qin Feiyong's current strength. With his current foundation, no matter how many 5 or 6-star combat emperors there were, they wouldn't be able to stop him. Of course, the people from the main pagoda never dreamed that Qin Feiyong would be able to recruit so many powerful subordinates in such a short period of time. Who are you? Why are you causing trouble in Ice Crystal City? The 4 divine messengers stood up and looked at Qin Feiyong and Lu Zheng with cold eyes. Qin Feiyong didn't answer as he sized up the 4 of them. What are you looking at? Hurry up and answer our questions. Otherwise, don't blame us for being impolite. We aren't ordinary people. We are the divine messengers sent by the main pagoda. If you provoke us, even the Heavenly King won't be able to save you. The 4 of them shouted. Qin Feiyong chuckled and said, You finally said something right. What do you mean? The four of them raised their eyebrows. Even the Heavenly King won't be able to save your lives today. Qin Feiyang grinned and took a facial restoration elixir. His appearance immediately changed. It's you, Qin Feiyang. The four of them turned pale with fright. They never thought that it would be him. Qin Feiyang. He actually dares to come back. Doesn't he know that the main pagoda is looking for him? Everyone's heart was filled with shock. Just as Qin Feiyang regained his original appearance, the seal appeared. Kill him, Qin Feiyang said indifferently. No problem. The seal laughed. The aura of a 9-star combat emperor erupted like a volcano and instantly shrouded the entire ice crystal city. Everyone was imprisoned at this moment. This is a 9-star emperor beast. Quickly report to the main pagoda master. The four divine messengers' expressions changed as they hurriedly activated the teleportation altar. But how could they make it in time to revive the teleportation altar? The seal's emperor's aura rolled out, and the four divine envoys were also restricted, unable to move. Immediately, the seal's emperor's aura pressed down on the four of them from all directions. Following a series of miserable cries, the four died one after another. Blood splattered everywhere, leaving behind only 4 cosmos bags and 4 divine envoy medallions. He actually killed Kill. When the guards of the city lord's mansion saw this scene, they couldn't help but turn pale. The position of the god envoys in the Forgotten Continent was equivalent to the Great Qin Empire's law enforcement palace, and each god envoys had the power to kill. Even the super tribes of the Central Divine Kingdom had to be respectful when they saw the divine envoys, let alone the 9 regions. To kill to die. Everyone was scared out of their wits. But there was an old man in the crowd outside the square who was not imprisoned by the seal's aura. His body was stooped, his clothes were tattered, his hair was unkempt, his face was dirty, and he smelled like a beggar. But if one looked closely, they would find that there was a glimmer of light in his turbid eyes. He stood silently in the crowd, looking at Qin Feiyang and Lu Zheng. Swoosh! Qin Feiyang and Lu Zheng landed beside the teleportation altar. Qin Feiyang waved his hand, battle chi surged, and the teleportation altar was activated. Then, 2 people and 1 beast stepped onto the altar in a grand manner and disappeared from sight. Little guy, you're amazing. You actually dared to enter the Central Divine Kingdom so openly. It was Qin Feiyang and Lu Zheng. After the seal disappeared, the old man in ragged clothes with unkempt hair and a dirty face chuckled. Main pagoda. Pill Pagoda Square. The old man in black guarding the teleportation altar was staring at the teleportation altar. Suddenly, Qin Feiyang, Lu Zheng, and the seal appeared on the teleportation altar. When he saw Qin Feiyang, the old man in black suddenly stood up, and a strong murderous intent emerged in his eyes. He didn't say a word. He directly released his emperor's aura and rushed toward Qin Feiyang. You're courting death. A trace of disdain flashed in the seal's eyes, and it suddenly broke through the air. The next moment, it rushed in front of the old man in black, raised its claws and slapped the old man's head. Accompanied by a shrill scream, the old man in black's head burst open on the spot, and blood spurted out wildly. What's going on? Many disciples came and went in the Pill Pagoda Square. Hearing the scream of the old man in black, they all turned their heads to look. Without exception, when they saw the old man in black fall, their faces changed color. When they saw Qin Feiyang, a trace of bewilderment appeared on everyone's faces. He's Qin Feiyang? No, the chief pagoda master is now looking for him. How could he come back? Could it be that my eyes are playing tricks on me? Everyone couldn't believe what they saw in front of them. It's Qin Feiyang. Everyone, quickly report to the elders. Suddenly someone roared. Qin Feiyang glanced at them, then took Lu Zheng and the seal to the castle, and then steered the castle into the chief pagoda. What? Qin Feiyang is back. He dares to come back at this time? Did he eat a leopard's guts? 1 spread to 10, 10 spread to 100. The news of Qin Feiyang's return quickly spread in the chief pagoda and the divine city, causing an uproar. There was no suspense. Everyone who received this news was extremely shocked. The Oracle Hall. A oracle hurriedly ran to the front of a hall and shouted, Hall Master, this subordinate has something to report. What's the matter? Gong Sunbei walked out of the hall and frowned. Qin Feiyang is back. The oracle said. Qin Feiyang? Gong Sunbei was stunned and hurriedly asked, where is he now? I don't know. He disappeared as soon as he arrived at the Pill Pagoda Square. No one knows where he's hiding now. The oracle said. Gong Sunbei said angrily, isn't the teleportation altar guarded? How did he get in? I'm afraid you won't believe me even if I tell you, Hall Master. The 4 oracles we sent and the elder at the Pill Pagoda Square all died at the hands of Qin Feiyang. The oracle said. How is that possible? When did he have such strength? Gong Sunbei was surprised. This subordinate doesn't believe it either, but it's the truth. However, it's said that the one who killed them wasn't Qin Feiyang himself, but a 9-star emperor beast by Qin Feiyang's side. The oracle said. 9-star emperor beast. Gong Sunbei murmured and said in a deep voice, immediately gather all the oracles and guard the teleportation altar at the Pill Pagoda Square. Without my orders, no one is allowed to enter or leave. Yes, the oracle replied with a bow. Gong Sunbei continued, in addition, inform everyone that the news of Qin Feiyang's return is to be kept a secret from junior brother and your. This subordinate understands. This subordinate will do it right away. The oracle nodded and turned around to leave. Wait. Gong Sunbei suddenly thought of something. Hallmaster, do you have any other instructions? The oracle stopped and turned to look at him with a puzzled expression. Gong Sunbei pondered for a while and said, don't let the oracles below the 9-star combat emperor realm go. After all, Qin Feiyang has a 9-star emperor beast by his side. If a fight breaks out, it won't do us any good. Understood. The oracle nodded and hurriedly left. Qin Feiyang, since you've already left, why did you come back? Don't you remember what I said to you back then? When we meet again, you and I are enemies. I won't show any mercy. Gong Sunbei looked up at the sky and muttered to himself. A cold light flashed in his eyes. Then, he opened a teleportation gate and walked in without looking back. Lord, this subordinate wishes to see you. In front of a courtyard, Gong Sunbei stood at the entrance, looking at the closed door of the pavilion and respectfully said, come in. The chief tower master's voice came from inside. Gong Sunbei pushed open the door of the courtyard and walked to the front of the pavilion. He gently pushed open the door of the pavilion, and the chief tower master immediately entered his sight. The chief tower master was sitting in front of the tea table in the hall. Not only was his face pale, but his eyes were also extremely gloomy. Lord, you've already received the news. Chapter 1306. The chief pagoda master immediately became furious and shouted, you still dare to come here? Gong Sunbei's eyes flashed. He walked to the chief tower master's side and looked at the man and beast warily. Qin Feiyang looked at the two of them and sat opposite the chief tower master. He smiled faintly. This is not a tiger's den. Why wouldn't I dare to come here? Arrogant. The chief tower master flew into a rage. Qin Feiyang said faintly, I didn't come back to cause trouble. Then why did you come back? Gong Sunbei asked. Qin Feiyang said, I want to know where the Mu family's base is. Both the chief tower master and Gong Sunbei were stunned. They thought that Qin Feiyang had come back this time to continue fighting against them. They didn't expect that it was for the Mu family. Why are you asking about this? Gong Sunbei was suspicious. Qin Feiyang said, don't worry about this. Anyway, it will only benefit you. Only benefit? Are you joking? You used Hao and Yu to steal the divine crystals and heavenly flames. You even massacred millions of creatures in the 9 regions. Do you think I will believe you now? The chief tower master sneered. Then what do you want? If you don't like it, then let's fight. Stop talking nonsense. The seal was overbearing. It didn't put the master of the forgotten continent in its eyes. Shut up. I am talking to your master. Who are you to interrupt? Don't think that you can do whatever you want in my chief tower just because you are a 9-star combat emperor. Let me tell you, you are not qualified. The chief tower master yelled. Fuck. You're still being arrogant. Boss Qin, bring out our main force and flatten this bullshit chief tower. The seal was furious. Main force. Gong Sunbei's pupils shrank as he looked at Qin Feiyang. It seemed that the seal wasn't the only 9-star combat emperor around this kid. Qin Feiyang chuckled. He looked up at the Chief Tower Master and said, I want to make a few points clear. Firstly, I'm not the owner of the seal. He and I are friends. So what it says is equivalent to what I want to say. If you're not convinced, let's play. Let's see who will lose out in the end. Qin Feiyang said. So confident. Gong Sunbei's heart trembled. How many experts were there in the army that the seals mentioned? Was that powerful and mysterious madam hiding by Qin Feiyang's side right now? Secondly, I was indeed the one who stole the divine crystal. As for the profound sky flame, the heavenly thunder flame, and the frost flame, they are all in my hands. As for the other alchemy fires such as the Big Dipper flame and the bloodbath in the first and second regions, whether you believe it or not, I didn't do it. Qin Feiyang added. Gong Sunbei frowned. If it wasn't you, then who was it? Don't tell me you don't know. Of course I know. I told you before, but you didn't believe me. Qin Feiyang said. Gong Sunbei frowned and pondered for a moment. You mean it was the Mu family? Yes. It was the mysterious madam who massacred the first and second regions. It was the Mu family who stole the Big Dipper flame and the other alchemy fires. And the role I played at that time was just a chess piece in their hands, taking advantage of them a little. Qin Feiyang said lightly. Chess piece? A chess piece can get the heavenly thunder flame, the heavenly thunder flame, and the frost flame. In my opinion, you are in cahoots with them. You are in cahoots with them. The Chief Tower Master sneered. Whatever you say. Anyway, I have a clear conscience. Now, can you tell me where the Mu family is? Qin Feiyang said. Gong Sunbei didn't answer. Who has the divine crystal now? The mysterious madam. Qin Feiyang didn't hide it because there was no need to. The mysterious madam's strength was beyond imagination. Even if the Chief Tower Master knew, he couldn't do anything to her. Of course, if the Chief Tower Master really fought with the mysterious madam, then he would be happy to see it, because in this way he could sit back and reap the benefits. After all, he was also very interested in the divine crystal. The Chief Tower Master asked, Where is the mysterious madam? Qin Feiyang said lightly, I don't know. After I gave her the divine crystal, we parted ways. He was a little puzzled. Originally, after he left the Forgotten Continent, Mu Qing should have used the all-seeing eye to predict the mysterious madam's location. So, Mu Qing must have known that the mysterious madam was hiding in the Endless Sea. At that time, the Mu family and the Chief Tower Master were in a cooperative relationship. If the Mu family knew, then the Chief Tower should also know. But now, why did the Chief Tower Master come to ask him? Could it be that the Mu family didn't tell the Chief Tower Master the whereabouts of the mysterious madam? After thinking about it for a while, it was really possible. Because the Mu family also wanted the divine crystal. The Chief Tower Master looked at Qin Feiyang's expression and said in a deep voice, You really don't know? Or are you pretending not to know? Is it so important to tell the truth? If you really want to know, I can show you the way to monitor the Mu family. If I'm not wrong, the Mu family is also looking for the mysterious madam now, and they will find it before you. Qin Feiyang smiled. The Mu family, I kindly took them in and gave them a place in the central divine kingdom, but they pretended to obey in front of me. They really deserve to die. The Chief Tower Master clenched his hands, and the murderous intent in his eyes was undisguised. This Mu family's people have always been ambitious. Gong Sunbei shook his head and sighed. In fact, he had long suspected the Mu family, and he had told the Chief Tower Master about this before, but there was no evidence. However, even if there was evidence, what could he do? The Mu family's strength was unfathomable, and the Chief Tower might not be able to fight them. Suddenly, Gong Sunbei looked at Qin Feiyang. His eyes flashed slightly and asked Qin Feiyang, How about we join forces? Join forces? Qin Feiyang was stunned. The Chief Tower Master also looked at Gong Sunbei in astonishment. Although all of this was done by the mysterious madam and the Mu family behind the scenes, Qin Feiyang was also a participant. In the heavenly thunder flame, the mysterious sky flame, and the ice flame were indeed in the hands of Qin Feiyang. Logically speaking, shouldn't they first get rid of Qin Feiyang and take back the 3 kinds of alchemy fire? But why did Gong Sunbei take the initiative to ask for Qin Feiyang's help? My lord. At this point, it doesn't make sense for us to deal with Qin Feiyang, because Qin Feiyang's position is already very obvious. He wants to deal with the Mu family. Instead of continuing to fight with him, it's better to join forces with him to deal with the Mu family. Gong Sunbei thought to himself, if the chief tower continued to fight with Qin Feiyang, then the biggest winner in the end would undoubtedly be the Mu family. This point, in fact, the chief tower master could also think of it. But for him to put down his pride and cooperate with Qin Feiyang, he couldn't do it. He was the ruler of the Forgotten Continent. How high was his status? And what about Qin Feiyang? Although he was the descendant of the Qin Emperor had disappeared, maybe even died. Most importantly, Qin Feiyang used to be his disciple. The master-disciple relationship suddenly became an equal partnership. No matter who it was, they couldn't accept this kind of change. My lord, I know what you're thinking. But do you really think that Qin Feiyang relied on his ancestor, the Qin Emperor, to get to where he is today? I can tell you that he didn't. I don't need to tell you how strong the Mu family and the mysterious madam are, my lord, you know. However, this kid was able to rely on his own brain to deal with them until now, and even took advantage of them. Just this ability alone is not something that ordinary people can compare with. Moreover, this time he came back without fear, so I think that he is fully qualified to cooperate with us. My lord, you don't need to be so rigid about the master-disciple relationship. Gong Sunbei said. The chief tower master fell silent. Also, I don't believe that he doesn't know where the mysterious madam is. He must be lying to us. And if we cooperate with him, then we can use him to find the mysterious madam and take back the divinity crystal. Gong Sunbei said telepathically, his eyes flashing. Take back the divinity crystal. The chief tower master's eyes trembled slightly, and he took a deep breath, secretly saying, how can you be sure that he wants to deal with the Mu family? Because he's asking about the Mu family's base. Gong Sunbei said. What does this mean? The chief tower master raised his eyebrows. It means that his relationship with the Mu family is not that good. Otherwise the Mu family wouldn't hide the location of their base from him. If my lord is still worried, I can ask him in person. Gong Sunbei said secretly. Then ask. The chief tower master said. Gong Sunbei looked at Qin Feiyang and said with a smile, since we're talking about cooperation, then we must be honest with each other first. What are you trying to say? Qin Feiyang said. He was also surprised that Gong Sunbei would propose cooperation. Gong Sunbei said, are you asking about the Mu family's base to deal with them? Or for something else? Qin Feiyang pondered for a while and said with a smile, well, I'll tell you. The Mu family is my mortal enemy. Since you're mortal enemies, then why are you helping them? The chief tower master said angrily. Qin Feiyang said lightly, I just said that I was just a chess piece before, and I had no choice. The chief tower master's face sank. Although it was the Mu family and the mysterious madam who had been adding fuel to the fire behind the scenes, to be honest, Qin Feiyang was the one who deserved to be killed the most. Because without him, it would be difficult to accomplish all of this. Gong Sunbei glanced at the chief tower master, then looked at Qin Feiyang and said with a smile, one more question. What's your situation in the great Qin Empire? In the past, the whole world was my enemy, but now I can do whatever I want. Qin Feiyang said casually, do whatever I want. The two of them were shocked. Haha, the great Qin Empire actually allowed a mere one-star combat emperor to do whatever he wants. I can imagine how bad the great Qin Empire is now. The chief pagoda master suddenly laughed out loud. His laughter was filled with ridicule that couldn't be dispersed. Qin Feiyang glanced at him indifferently as if he was looking at a clown. Gong Sunbei was also silent as he looked at Qin Feiyang.